teachings.
Hopefully, let me make sure I have the sound set to the right.
This is
To the right. Audio is unlike the beginning of the Jim Ward interview where no one could hear me. So looks good.
Well, yeah, for the first 2 minutes.
Harbor Town
Yeah,
is an all-new
yeah.
series from Miniature Building Authority.
Sometimes
the
you
leader in
just
tabletop
do dumb
gaming
things.
scene. Unique, flexible, and playable.
Looks good.
Harbor
Looks
Town
good. Looks
will
good.
take your games to a new destination.
Whew.
Well, I got to the point where I was almost ready to say to somebody that they won the contest. In fact, they didn't.
Yeah, that's funny.
Oh,
Honest mistake.
that's the guy who wanted to ask about L6. So I got the two because I was corresponding with both simultaneously. And then I got the names mixed up. So then I told Amy, who entered the contest as well, that this other guy won.
She can't win them all.
Well,
If you step back,
one submission was, in my opinion, clearly better than the other.
That's it. That's
okay,
great to hear.
good. Yeah.
Gary's already on. He's hiding out. I see him in the list of VIPs. Oh,
So I might say a word or two about the contest and why
Absolutely.
one won and not the other.
Yeah.
no, that's great.
I think that's fair.
Definitely.
Gary Hoyan, I wouldn't dare submit to one of Len's contests.
Well, it seemed when I did a magic item or create a new spell, I got more interest in trying to populate a building.
Well, you know, people's certain minds, they just work certain ways, and
Yeah. Populating a building wasn't the greatest.
that's okay. You went for it.
I went for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up, Dorgrim? You guys can hear me tonight, right?
Yes. Loud and clear.
Excellent, Balford. Good to see you on. Thank you. Now I got the right button here. Yes. Lots of great announcements tonight. That's good. That's good. Unlike Sunday night where you couldn't hear me on the stream until I made that change. Because the way it's set, XSplit has a mic setting, Zoom has a mic setting. So the Zoom people could hear me, but the people through the broadcaster couldn't. So that's what happened on Sunday. So. Bill the Master Crafter has done 5 full sections of road for tomorrow night of 3D print stuff, which he's going to bring it with him. So we're going to finally get some really, from our new sponsor, Gamescape 3D, get some of that stuff right out on the table. Looking forward to that. Yes, Glenn, these dice are awesome. Titan dice. I gave away in the last 2 months 5 sets of these. The big mamas. So I'm waiting for the next shipment of them to come in. The green and the pink they're supposed to be sending me. The Calliope and the Oclus are the names of them. So.
You've seen the dice on Q Workshop, haven't you?
I haven't specifically seen them. Are they awesome?
Yeah, they're very good. It's just the letter Q in Workshop, and they're in Poland.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And the dice are similar to what you're looking at right now. They have a number of different varieties.
Hey, Josh. I'm starting to crank it up here. Well, I have actually I haven't gotten the giveaways from Saturday night out yet. I've been so swamped, but that's gonna go out tomorrow, and we'll have a Reaper giveaway tomorrow too. So.
I have a set of Q Workshop dice. Just can't seem to find it right now. But I could always. They were always at Gen Con. Back when I.
Cold, he raids into us. He finishes at 8, and we start at 8, so it's all good. it's set perfectly, actually. Hey, Amy, what's up? Len's on, and he said you gave it a great shot, which is awesome to hear. So I'll point out the first set was the set that we got printed. This is the second set. Haven't even started on that yet. Haven't started on this set either. There's so much. Each of those pieces takes roughly 9 to 16 hours to print. Every single one of them. Yeah.
Lord.
Yeah, that's the 3D printer. It takes a while.
How much does it cost?
I'm sorry, Leonard, I couldn't hear you. It was too high. What's
How much
that?
does it cost to do the ink?
The material.
Yeah, once we have the 3D print, like one of those pieces, they hog up a fair amount of printer. So I'm gonna say $5 at most. At most.
No, they take time, but they're not that
Time?
expensive to operate.
Somebody did a Kickstarter with, I think it was some dice, and it had a little dice holder. But the catch was the dice holder, you had to have a 3D printer to print it. And if you don't have a 3D printer, then what's the point? And the answer is something.
That comes in the box, yeah.
You get something, you can't do anything.
What's up, everyone at Blue Box? Hey, how you doing? Thank you so very much. I'll announce that as soon as we're in. Hey, Amanda. Hey, Carlos. Carlos, the invitation's still up, man. If you want to hop on and talk to Monoland.
Yeah.
So
Good show, Carlos.
yeah,
Yep.
great show. Great show.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, definitely a long time no see. So we got an interesting topic tonight. Lots of great things going on. I'm excited. Keeping busy. Entry screen. Here we come. Since you guys rated in, we've been going 2 minutes early tonight.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Boy,
Ooh, 2 whole minutes.
Obama. You guys have all watched Vikings on TV.
I love Vikings.
Oh yeah,
Leonard.
definitely.
I
Yeah,
love
Some
like
of
it.
the relays in there are just.
I love it.
Oh yeah, the fighting scenes.
Ragnar
are fantastic.
Lothbrok.
Yeah.
Oh, and I like Lagertha is one of my favorite characters of all time. In fact, I used to have a lot of Lagertha GIFs before I went exclusively Legend of the Seeker GIFs. So I do have some Lagertha GIFs too. You know, when the videos come up, yeah.
It's so cool though that the place names and stuff are places where close to where I grew up. That's so funny. Yeah, so it's so cool because the
Josh, you know what
Kattegat
I'm
is
talking about. Don't be a smartass.
They've been consulted. You know?
Yeah, Kattegat is the coastline where my mother lives,
Oh,
and just Norway, Sweden on the Swedish west coast and the southern Norwegian coast. So Skagerrak, Kattegat are what the sea is called around there. So these are the names that come from that, and they use a whole bunch of names that are and they are local, so to speak, and also the way they speak. That when they speak Viking, when you can't understand it, it sounds Viking
Wow.
to me, so to speak. So yeah, it's kind of
I've
cool.
not seen the show.
Or you should definitely watch it. You should definitely watch it. It's an
Oh, now
awesome.
One of the famous Viking shots was somebody throwing a hand axe, and the poor guard standing there catches it. Unfortunately, he catches it with his face.
Yeah, the fighting scenes are
but
among
you
the best
actually
ever.
see it from the point of view of the hand axe going end over end, and finally catches it. This poor slob who doesn't even know it's coming until the very last second.
If you want to see cool sword fights and axe fights and stuff, it's the best series ever. It
There's
has
some amazing.
it
Better
has
than Game of Thrones.
Way better than
Way
Game of
better.
The
Thrones.
fight scenes.
Oh yeah, and especially
I
way
like Vikings.
more of them, and the brutal. It's awesome.
Just for this discussion, I'll throw in a GIF, a GIF of another
Yep.
of Vikings in the near future for you. So
Yep. It's
come
cool.
on, I know it's journey elevator music, Gary, but it's what I can afford as far as music content, man,
Yeah.
without having to pay
But
huge
I'm
royalty
partisan.
fees.
When you talk about Vikings, I'm partisan. So don't take my word
Yeah.
too strongly.
It's a
So
good show. I love it. I love it.
yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
So, good evening, everyone. I'm J.K. Lord Gazumba, and look at my crew tonight. The legendary Leonard Lakofka, Leah Mendez once again.
Yeah.
The great Anna B. Meyer is on, and
Thank you.
the wonderful Greyhawk Mike Bridges is on. And we're going to try to get through the Tropics of the Flanaess tonight. Man, I did some research because I'm coming from an area of not knowing much about it. I know Tamoacon's in the immediate jungle when I started, and and Sassarine is south, and that's about all I knew. So, yeah. But Len said he actually did something with Hepmonaland, correct?
Yeah. They one of those famous cases where they got randomly teleported somewhere.
Oh, that's
Whoa.
cool.
I had to do
All right,
something,
I'll speak up, Gary.
but they headed off to a coast really fast, and they weren't thrilled about staying there.
So you had him like in the depths of the Hepmonaland. They had to get out, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, definitely the way
Yeah.
to do it. All right, so I want to do a big announcement first, and then we'll get started. Troll Lord Games, who gave out 4 giveaways for the Jim Ward interview on oh my god, my brain shut off on Sunday night.
Sunday.
Yeah, on Sunday has upped the ante. If you scroll down below and also right here, from this point forward, if you use the code TLGLG 15 off, all in caps for Troller Games Lord Gazumba 15 off, when you go to their store at any time, as you're a follower of the show, you get 15% off the store order. So there you go. That's not bad.
Dang, man, you're a coupon code now.
I wanted to say that though, but that's pretty generous of them. So like I said, you can find that in the link. Their site goes right, the button right below, the picture Troller Games below goes right to the link, and there you go, 15% off. Yes. So yeah, I am a coupon code. All right. So we go to the Tropics. Who wants to start this off with a little bit of a? There you go, Blue Box. Thank you so very much for the raid, John and crew.
Well, Len started us off with just dropping us in Hepmonaland.
Yes.
Did they get out?
What happened?
They got out in maybe 2 sessions.
Okay, it's not bad.
How'd they get back to the mainland?
Coast, they got lucky because I had a ships going by nearby, and they got lucky. Literally got lucky. But there was one going by, and they were able to set a few fires along the coast, and the ship sent a rowboat in.
Excellent.
Well,
and then they went back to
happened.
They went back to Lender Isle from there.
Yeah.
Excellent. So one other thing that Len has agreed to is we're going to down the road do a really cool experiences with Gary Gygax, Gavin, and I'm going to have Len back. I'm going to have Jim Ward if he'll come back on, which I think he will, and we're going to try and get Tim Kask and even Luke. So just a little heads up on that down the road. That is being planned for mid-September. So just to let you know on that. So Anna, there was a question in Cannon Fire Discord today, and I didn't have the answer, but I said you'd know because you did the maps.
Okay.
Did you just randomly place all those forts of the Scarlet Brotherhood all over the maps, or did you do by best guess?
That was best guess.
Okay.
The text basically says that they have forts. And they are raiding for slaves and stuff like that to bring slaves home and treasure home from them. So I kind of put them where I thought it will be strategic locations every 400 or 500 miles, so they can support each other if need be, and so they can cover as large area as possible, so to speak. And
That's
also
on Hepmonaland?
And both Hepmonaland and Amidio. So yeah, but Amidio, they, according to, now we're talking published sources here, where they took over the Sea Princess because they, so.
I was going to say the maps that come with the Scarlet Brotherhood
Yeah.
have marked forts along the coast.
Yeah,
I
so
know
some
on
of
the
them,
Emilio side, but I don't know about
yes.
the other.
I'm
Yeah,
going to
so
show the
some of them
one.
I took.
I'm going
Yeah.
to show the one in contention. I think.
Okay.
Let me go to the maps here, and
Yeah, Penguin, you're right.
all right. So Fort. So we see where Tamoacan is. Fort South Asia. You see that under the Emilio Bay word at the very bottom. I think the question that arose on Cannon Fire today was, well, you should just sail to Fort South Asia if you're going to go to the Tamoacan ruins. And I know you've recently placed the symbols, the fortress symbols. They weren't
Yeah.
on this edition. I mean the heraldry. So the question was: is that fort or these forts along the Emilio best guess?
Yeah, they're kind
Okay.
of best guess. Yeah, like a lot of things, because some of them are a few locations are probably placed on previous maps, but most of them is
Okay.
my best guess from the text sources. So yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And as usual, I go with the text sources. I don't go from the maps. If they're mentioned that they are there in the text, I just have to kind of make an artistic guess, so to speak, and put them where I think it's kind of I think it's appropriate.
Excellent. I
Yep.
really
Yep.
that's a great
So
answer. I know I'm
yep.
gonna.
So that's the usual kind of have to start thinking, and also that's something that they didn't all appear. Meaning some of them were conquered. Meaning now we go on whether they are in your campaign or not. That mileage may vary, so to speak, depending on how much you like the Scarlet Brotherhood. But if you go on the published sources, then they kind of some of them were taken over from the Sea Princes. Some of them were made from the Scarlet Brotherhood's own expeditions, and some of them might have been from Olmans and stuff like that. So they conquered Olman ones and simply renamed them and so on. So they're a separate source, and they probably didn't all come at once. They kind of grew over time, I guess. It was easier to conquer than to build one from scratch.
Yeah, Josh, I thought they all were, but they're not. Some of them are best guesses, which is great. So, Mike, what do you think of this
Yeah.
area in discussion here? It's going to be a challenge, I think.
The fort,
The whole area of the tropics. I mean, at least you have the Sea Princes.
in
Yeah.
general,
Yeah.
right? I've played a lot of South Seas campaigns. I've even made a map of my South
Yeah,
Seas campaign
meaning-
where I combine a lot of the published source maps.
Okay.
So I know the seas and the islands and the coast fairly well, but I can't say I've done a lot of inland adventuring in the tropics.
Yes, Gary is already. So Gary and Josh are going back and forth in chat because of the 30-degree tilt 30 degrees now is tropics instead of 23 in the third or whatever.
Yeah.
But we're going to limit this to Emilio Hetmonaland, Sassarine Cauldron, Lordship of the Isles, Tilvanat Peninsula, some Sea Princes.
I consider Sea Princes and Tilvanat subtropical, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and there's something interesting. I tortured Jay with that when we talked earlier today, and so this is interesting because in the Flanaess, Flanaess is more like the southeast of North America. If you take the coast of North America, it goes from Arctic, semi-Arctic, Arctic, and then it becomes temperate, and then it becomes subtropic. There is no desert area. The desert is missing, and that seems to be in the Flanaess too. If you take the coast of the western coast of North America, you go from Arctic to temperate, and then you have a large desert area, and I happen to live middle of it, and then the tropics come way further south. So
extending that line out west, Anna, would the Sul Empire have had the same climate as Tilvanat and
that's interesting. That was something I've thought about before when I was trying to think about the Sul Empire and stuff, and I realized the Sul, they always sound and are described like they came from a temperate area, not from the tropics somewhere. They are pale skin and all that. They sound very kind of temperate, northern temperate kind of people. So either they come from somewhere else. Yeah. So I played with the idea of that the Sea of Dust used to be a high plateau, and that had temperate climate. And then when all the calamities and what happened, it was sunk down, and there were mountains and volcanoes and stuff surrounding it, so it became a dust bowl. afterwards. And that's what we see today, because there is a large area that has no outlet on the maps. That's surrounded by mountains. So I simply said, well, that kind of changed things. So you might have jungle down, and then like there are places in South America especially that are temperate up on the high plateau, and even here up in the mountains is temperate. And then you have
Because altitude
Yeah,
decreases temperature.
yeah, and also that you have moist air coming in from the oceans and stuff like that. So
Gary's saying that it has something to do with Earth being more tilted towards the sun
Yeah,
than
30
our
yes,
Earth.
yeah,
30
you
degrees.
have
And I don't disagree with the angle, but I disagree with the cosmology, because in gray space, the sun is tilted towards Earth. Earth is the center of the
Oh,
the
he
sun
got
goes
you,
up and down,
Gary.
yeah,
right.
yeah,
Wow,
Just
Mike
saying.
with
Yeah.
a big one there.
yeah, that's cool.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Cosmology is
Earth
a mess
is
according to Amy.
literally the center of that galaxy.
Yeah, so you would have bigger poles and temperates and stuff in the middle will be cramped, and then you will have bigger tropics if you have a bigger actual tilts. Yeah.
So before we move forward with this, while we have Leonard's going to give divulge what happened with his latest contest. Sound good?
Well, I'd like to, I produced this map,
Yes.
which you have.
Yes.
Okay, so if you could bring that up for a second.
I wish I could, Leonard, but I don't
Well,
have
it's
it in my
hidden
scroller
somewhere.
this week.
Okay.
I'll try.
So anyway,
Let me try
one
while
of
you're
the
doing
things
what you're talking.
that Daniel did that was really good.
Daniel Boggs is his name?
Daniel Boggs, yeah.
Is
He
the
took
winner.
that map that I drew, and he threw it into Paint, or he threw it into Campaign Cartographer, and he drew the rooms into it.
Okay.
So now he didn't have to worry about getting out his graph paper and
there we go.
realigning everything and drawing lines and
I'll
everything.
cover my
He
face.
just plopped it right into that. And I thought that was a really great idea on his part.
Okay. So, that's hey, so Sorrows, just come along and comment and chat a lot. That would be great. So, all right. Well, he's the winner, and show everyone what he won for this one.
Well, it's in a box.
Oh, it's in a box, so we can't.
I boxed it up, and I'm going to the post office probably tomorrow, and
Excellent. Well, good
sending
for
it
him.
off to him.
So,
Assuming the
Post a
post
picture
office,
on Facebook or something.
the post office is getting stranger and stranger. So
how about we throw out a little Easter egg, Leonard? Show what you showed me, and show what we're going to give away during Virtual Greyhawk Con right there, if you want. Where do you see this? All right, so we're going to give this away during Virtual Greyhawk Con during the very last show, which is the Ask the Experts. Leonard got something from Leonard loves Kickstarters. We all know that. I mean, crazy.
Yeah, I have this thing about Kickstarter.
It's an obsession. It's an addiction.
I'm a fool for Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So Leonard has a great hardback book that he got.
Once I put it away again, I'm not getting it out.
Spectacular Settlements. Who's it by?
Spectacular Settlements. Now look at the
Look how
size
thick
of
that
this.
is. Yeah.
Wow.
This is almost 500 pages.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Tons and
amazing.
tons
Yep.
and tons.
500 pages hardback
Pick
book.
this, pick that, describe this, do the other thing, and lots of maps.
Who's that by, Leonard? Who publishes it?
That show you this and that and the other thing.
Which company is it?
It's really a nice book.
We're going to give that away during the Ask the Experts Virtual Greyhawk Con. Probably
when is that?
That is October 4th.
Okay, good. So
yeah, that Sunday night,
the
winner the contest will be announced then. But we think it's going to be the best question asked that night. So okay, back to the jungle. Sorry, Sorrows, that we run through stuff like crazy here. Always see what's. I think that's by Lord Smith. Thank you, Zytec. Cool, man.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So I mean it's 500-page hardback book is an awesome giveaway item. So Len, we're really appreciative of that. And remember, that show right now is Len, Malden, Grodog, and Gary Julian. I mean, what a frick! And Jim Ward, if we paid his fee. Just kidding. I'm kidding. That was a joke. So, a joke from Sunday night. All right, back to the show. So Len, what else tropically before you got to depart? You said did you ever run Tomocon?
Well, I asked them what was the purpose of the place, and they both came up with something that were equivalent, different but equivalent. And they both came up with the predominant alignment, which of course they could assign as they saw fit, and they were completely different. And then they said, where on earth is it? And they both assigned a place. So all of those things cancel each other out because you're picking a place. So when you pick the place, it's
Okay.
just as good as somebody else picking a place. But what sorted it out was the
The
use of
the inside.
paint or campaign cartographer
Beautiful.
to draw in the various rooms and label them,
Okay.
because that made that nice and clean. That took the thing that was already there, and now you don't have to sit there with graph paper. You don't have to do any of that stuff and rulers and draw. You don't have to go through anything.
Okay.
So he plugged that right into it, which was a great idea. And
Awesome.
then he detailed more characters. He put in 5 or 6 people, but he detailed them all.
And you love that
And
detail.
And the other one only had 1 character detail.
Okay.
But a lot of characters, more characters actually.
Good for him. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so very much, Leonard, for doing that for the audience.
Well, in the good old days, I would produce a guy who was first level or second level, and I wouldn't give you all of the strength, intelligence, wisdom, and all of that crap. I wouldn't go through all of that. And finally I said, no, if you're going to do it, you need to do it. So that's when I went back through Restonford and did that spreadsheet that detailed all the people who were second level, first level, and man at arms, and I detailed them all. So now they all had an existence, plus the people who moved there since Restonford was attacked by orcs and there was a troll and yada yada. And it's the prelude to L3. And I produced a map of Restonford after the raid, which is 576. I produced the 575, which was the Restonford of L1, and then I produced the Restonford of L3, which is a different party from the one who did L2.
So let's also, oh gosh, Len, Anna, and I, before Mike came on, we're talking about down the road, maybe we can convince Len with a little assistance to do L6. So we'll see, right? Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe, which would be awesome.
Yeah.
So, what a great giveaway and future stuff coming up with Len being part of what we're doing here in the community, and it's so appreciated, Len. I know everyone loves having you on. Did you question though, Len? Did you ever do Tomb of Horrors or Tomocon? Have you done either of them?
Don't think so.
Okay.
Tomb of Horrors wasn't it one of the featured things in Ready Player One?
Yes.
I think so. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, it was.
That has some fabulous stuff in visual. There's visual candy all over the place.
Yeah. Just saying for our Tropics discovery on this one, I think are they the only 2 published now? Sassarine, all the Savage Coast, Savage Tide. I'm sorry, and Cauldron's there too now from Paizo Hawk. So I'll say this: until a few days ago, I never looked at this. The Savage Tide. I never looked at this piece. Player's Guide.
There's a lot of cool stuff in
That's a good book.
Yeah. I don't have it in hard copy. I wish I did, but it details the entire city here. Way more detailed than well, it's just names. It's not a lot of description in here, but
I believe there's a fold-out map that came with it.
Oh yeah, if you read all the articles in Dragon and Dungeon and stuff about
Let me
it,
see if I can find a hard copy of that.
Yeah.
So,
the cover of it's a reprint from a Dragon magazine, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I imagine a lot of this was in the Dragon magazine. They ported it over to this Player's Guide for this, so that's good. So, very interesting. So where do we want to start here? Where do we want to start to discuss?
First, I want to kind of
Go for it.
emphasize on the scope of the region, meaning we're talking about one of the huge frontiers of the Flanaess, meaning it's both a barrier to the rest of the world because it's such a huge hurdle to get over in order to get somewhere, but it's also probably the biggest adventure area. If you just take the part of Epmona land that is on the Darlene map, and then I added probably a little bit more on my map, went a little bit further south, but just that bit and the Amedio is probably, that's about a quarter of the Flanaess in size. So it's a huge area. You can put lots and lots of adventure, and it's also very little detailed. Meaning you have whole countries, the whole areas the size of Nyrond or Furundi or the Keo land that is not detailed at all.
Even when you throw in the Scarlet Brotherhood stuff, it's still very undetailed.
Exactly. There are thousands of square miles that have no detail whatsoever. So
it's they do a decent job, and like I said, I'm not a fan of Scarlet Brotherhood's expansion at all, but they do a very decent job in this book of detailing tribal areas and heraldry, and gods and different, the differences between like different cultures. It's done well. Am I saying this wrong? The Tuv, T-O-U-V. Am I pronouncing that incorrectly?
Tuv, but
Tuv.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's
I
like
say
one of
Tov. Yeah.
Okay, Tuv.
Yeah.
Tuv.
Yes, the Tuv gods.
That's something sounds very Scandinavian to me, or kind of Tuv it sounds Danish, and because they have a lot of this, so yeah, but it's kind of interesting that way. It's easy to pronounce in from a Scandinavian standpoint.
Well, sort of on topic.
Yeah.
In L4, I did a trip from the Iron League, Iron Gate, all the way through to Landor Isle. And you had to pass through, was it the Tilda Strait?
Between
Scarlet Brotherhood and Hellbound?
Yeah, which is
So all
dangerous.
kinds of crap could have gone wrong there.
Oh, absolutely. Here, let me go to that map real quick. We have the maps.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the key questions you have to ask yourself for this area, meaning how powerful are the Scarlet Brotherhood? If you go with the Carl Sargent and the Wars and LG, then the Scarlet Brotherhood is this hegemon that is basically sealed off the Flanaess from influence from the south, meaning hardly no.
Scarlet Brotherhood may not be a seagoing power. It's certainly conceivable they're not.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they may be, doing their own thing, but it does look like there's some ports there.
Well,
they have ports. Plus, it depends on what version. The Lordship of the Isles kind of seceded to them, according to the one.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Yeah, because you have, and if you look at the Scarlet Brother or the Carl Sargent and the Living Greyhawk material, they are the biggest sea power. They become the biggest. They have the most numbers. They have so many ports they have invaded, so they need to, in order to keep contact and to support and supply and kind of keep a track.
So who do they trade with?
That's my question too. That's my question too. That who they trade with.
Well, let me. As you're discussing that, let me see if there's a trade here.
Might certainly be a choice among the civilized.
They fell apart.
Places.
Yeah. In the same timeline, they fell apart. So I see it easy to conquer, but much more difficult to hold on to it, because then it starts to get costly. That's when you need trade.
I see no trade discussion at all in this book. I see internal affairs and politics, but I don't see anything about external trade at all.
No, and I think Joe Block had some interesting thoughts when he had kind of talked about, like a year ago or something, when he talked about how isolated it was and that they had the
Scarlet Brotherhood, in my opinion, was trying to be self-sufficient.
Right.
Yeah.
They exist as a secret society hidden in a plateau for a long time, and in my campaign, all the outside trading and stuff are through piracy and stuff like that, and fishing villages and things, but it's all a front.
Yeah, they steal instead of trade.
So here's a great thing for Leonard. Most of the Starlight Brotherhood gods are yours. Ouija,
Yeah, that could be.
Cord, Braum, Falcon, Lurg, Lendor, Pyremeus, Beltar, Osprem. They're all yours. Right there. So there you go.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yep.
Mhm.
All the Soul deities.
Now there would be some that would be more logical for. Is this Hetmonoland or Scarlet Brothers?
Scarlet Brotherhood. This is the
Scarlet
Tilpanat
Brotherhood.
Peninsula. Yeah. But Lurg is a huge god in the deep in Hetmonoland I saw on one of the maps.
Yeah.
Isn't there a tribe Lurg? L-E-R-G, I believe. There's a Lurg tribe that worships
it's
Lurg.
Lurga.
Not that I know.
Lurga, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
So
Lens of Lurga. Yep.
yeah.
Well, Lurg, as you note, is Grell spelled backwards.
Yes.
As
And
we
since
learned.
there was a monster called the Grell,
Yeah.
Gygax went and made him Lurg because
He
there already was
loves
a Grell
flipping.
that was a monster.
It says here the savage armies from Hetmonoland and Emedia worship Lurg, whose worship edges out that of Cord in the latter region. Okay. So
Probably because of the worshiping
I
animals.
think I
and things.
recall that Lurg has an evil tendency. I'm not positive.
chaotic neutral. He was pure chaotic neutral with a slight twinge, I believe. You threw him out there that he could be very ill-tempered, if I recall, in the discussion, as opposed to Cord, who's really more just.
Well,
brawling.
I have him as alignment chaotic neutral.
Yeah. But he's much more visceral, animal-like than Cord is.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's great. They incorporated your Soul deities into the book, which is.
Well, that's because the migration dumps them into the Scarlet Brotherhood. If you look at the migration map,
Yeah.
one of the arrows goes down into what's now the Scarlet Brotherhood. And having said that, it's 5:25, and I need to.
Sunday night, if you're available, we're going to continue with great legendary adventures of Greyhawk. And Len, have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Len said goodbye before he got off.
Yep.
Wow.
Oh man. All right, so I just
So we're
don't.
jumping around.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know where to start because it's so massive, and
Yeah.
it's so. All right. Let's start with something that we can all. see-
Tomoa-chan.
What's that? Yeah, Tomoka.
Hidden, yeah, Tomoka.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Tomoka.
All right. So I know this is a AD&D adventure, but I believe this adventure, unlike I don't know how many others have been done like this, but I think it's been updated for every edition of D&D.
Really, even fourth.
There's a third, fourth, fifth out there. I'd have to go back and check my blog, but I used to,
Okay.
write things about that when I saw them pop up, and I think that adventure's been adapted every time.
Wow. Well, it is like the first competition published module, right? That was the first one.
I don't know the history of it.
Yeah. So here I have an actual picture of a group of adventurers at Tomoacon and let me shout them out, from my friend off of DeviantArt Dungeon Meister, who I have full permission to use all of his artwork. And here's some pictures. This is a picture of Sassarine. Most of them are Sassarine. Oh. Yes, another Sassarine. We'll go through them in a bit. The Sassarine Arena, the Ticklish Ogre in Sassarine, traveling through the forests of the Emedio, and here it is. That's a picture of at Tomoacon. So we do have an actual artwork of a veteran group at Tomoacon, which I thought was cool. So really neat stuff. But Tomoacon's the first AD&D module I ever had or played.
I've started to run it before, but I don't think I've ever got all the way through it.
It's tough because it's a point-based system, right? So there's some crazy things. There's a spot where you have mud. A spot where there's mud on the wall. I'll give it. Sorry. You want to cast mud to rock, then cast stone to flesh on it, so you can cut through it. I mean, that's how tough it is. I mean, who would ever think of that combination? But there's a lot of neat things. And I said this on the previous
Nice.
Sunday night show. Don't grab anything in there. Don't follow will-o-wisps in there. Don't do anything. Just have your blinders on because everything's a trap. So. But
Yeah. It's funny because a lot of them mods were one shots, right? Essentially.
Yeah.
And then you port them into the World of Greyhawk and you expect them to be part of your
They were
campaign.
like tournament adventures, I think.
Yeah, like Tomb of Horrors. You can't build a campaign around that.
It's just killing characters.
But they kind of did because Asarak is a big name now, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
It's been built up.
Yep.
Yeah.
So now it will be cool to remake the his temple and make it into a campaign event, so to speak, rather than having the thing there just to kill characters.
So, all right, let's do the immediate. We're talking in that area. Let's do the immediate first. How about that?
Okay.
All
yeah.
Right. So here's
the
area of Tomokon, and go ahead, Mike.
Yep. No, I'm with you here. Immediate Tomokon. I was going to say its placement has always fooled me. I couldn't, if I had to put my finger on a map where it's at, I probably would get it wrong every time without looking.
I'm not sure I got it right, but no one has complained about that one yet. So
I mean, does it have a definite hex marker, or is it just somewhere in there?
If I remember, I think it had one. But on the other hand, the Darlene map is so non-detailed, so it's kind of once you have to put it down, and I often have to go on the description of the area and say, is it by the coast? Is it by a river? Is it near a mountain? And stuff like that. And
Gary might know this better, but what was this place? Was this the capital of the Olman Empire when they moved from Hepmonland over to the Immediate? Or was it just a little town with a temple?
One thing I know is that the worship of certain deities was prevalent in there. I believe Kamazot's the bat god, and I think I have that placed here, right here.
Central American.
Their Olman, Kamazot's is mentioned a lot, and Quetzalcoatl is mentioned a lot in this one as well. So I believe Talak is as well too. So I believe you're looking for an Olman.
A lot of evil stuff.
Yeah, you're looking for an Olman Empire major location of some sort, is my guess. Gary would maybe can elaborate on that, but that is my guess on that. Is that is what that's what the location
is. Gary says it's one of their capitals.
Yeah.
Just off the top of my head, I thought that the Olman started in Hepmonland, were driven out, and then resettled in Emio. But are you saying it was all contemporaneous, like one big empire across the ocean?
I think they started in Hepmonaland, if I remember my Scarlet Brother. Hang on a second, I have to read it again.
Once again, that may be a bone of contention. They may have had different. Gary is saying it's like the Mayans and the Aztecs. It may have been actually one, different cultures.
Different city-states.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hang on a second.
That is my guess.
Because I thought they had a reverse migration. I thought they went west.
Olman,
while everyone else is going east.
Originated on Hepmonaland.
Okay.
According to this.
Huh.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Raising a number of city-states from the jungles of that land. Through centuries of warfare, they built an empire that spanned northern Hepmonaland and reached across the Densak to include the Immediate jungle.
So that means the Tilvanite was probably part of this empire as well, because they had to have gone coastal to get over there. They didn't just go straight across.
That's true. Yeah, it's much easier to go along the coast there. Yeah.
So it's like the certain empires, except it's like the Roman Empire, where Byzantium/Constantinople lasted almost 1,000 years after Rome fell, except in reverse. That's east, west. It's according to Gary, these kingdoms stayed a lot longer than the Eastern kingdoms due to warring. It makes total sense. So there are a lot of tribes still in that area. I'm going to be blatantly honest. I've besides doing Tomokon, never adventured a bit. Never done Isle of Dread, wherever that's placed. Never gone south. We had a shipwreck once on a nondescript island somewhere, and about a year and a half ago. We didn't place it anywhere specific, but it was in Jungle Lake, so that was the only time ever. But I never, just shy of 1,000
Then
years, Rob. That's
Yeah, then you've done more than me because I've never been there. So yeah.
So going back to the map here, if we pull out, I mean, look at how many miles of open jungle. I mean, it's like the the great jungles of South America. It's freaking huge. I
Yeah,
mean, and here's the
yeah.
southern part. So there are lands here now that are in existence, and one of them says former lands. The other two say lands of. So I'm not sure what happened
Well,
there.
yeah, it's I tried to remember the ones that were kind of abandoned and disappeared, and one that was still around. So a lot of these seems to just be old ruined places and stuff. But I guess that's the easy way of making them sound more interesting to adventurers, so to speak. So
Bloodwild, I wouldn't say it was
Here comes Carlos.
moved from Mystara,
Double header, Carlos.
the Greyhawk. I would just say that it was co-opted. It was borrowed, much like Blackmoor is also in Greyhawk. But
Here's Carlos.
It's not necessarily the same Blackmoor.
Carlos is trying to get video.
Yes, I am. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can,
yes,
sir.
we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got to figure out what's going on here with the video.
Take
Good
your
to
time.
see you again, everybody.
Yes.
Yeah,
2 shows for Carlos in the same night, man, on 2 different
Yeah.
talk shows.
I know
That's awesome.
It's brutal. It's brutal.
Sorry,
Oh,
sorry about the Blackhawks, Carlos.
you
It's okay.
You love to be on.
Got
do
beat by a better
stuff
team.
like this. Yeah.
No, the Isle of the Ape is not the Mist. The Mist is actually the Mist Kingdoms. It's a chain of islands,
Right,
where
but
I believe Mist Dragons dwell.
Right, and
That might be. Yeah.
I don't think that
Might
those
be.
locations are set. I think they're all hidden and left to the DM. Hey, Carlos, how are you?
Good.
But on Carlos's map, if you go,
very glad you came on. Thank you so very much.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank
if you
you.
go
That was-
south of the Mist Kingdoms, then you run into a really big isle named Ruja, Ruja,
Okay.
and you might think that's the Isle of Dread, to fool you, but then you got to keep going even farther south. So it's like off the map.
Okay. So that's where you say the Isle of Dread is. It's not placed on the map anywhere. Is that correct?
It's only on Savage Tide maps.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
How about Carlos and Anna? You agree with that? That the Isle of Dread is way
Yeah,
down.
and
Okay.
I think it's some sort of mistake because I think that big island was it's kind of weird because
Yeah.
some of the maps have 2 islands, some of them have 1, and since I'm inclusive, that meant that I actually put in 2 on my map. So I put in Rusha there, and so there's some overlap, so to speak. And I also don't know who introduced Isle of Dread into Greyhawk. Was that for
It
the
was
Savage?
Gary.
Okay, was that
It was
Savage?
Gary Julian is the criminal
Ah,
in this case.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah. So he can know the answer.
He
to
says
this,
me.
okay.
He just takes.
Ah,
He just
credit.
blatantly takes the credit in
Oh,
chat
that's
for
cool.
that. That's
Yeah, that's
awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
Then we have to ask Gary for the story behind this.
Yeah, he
Mhm.
he took Isle of Dread, traded
Yeah.
he traded Tomb of Horrors and some other adventure to be
Stolen
named
Fair
later
Square.
for Isle of Dread. Yeah,
An adventure to be named later.
yeah.
Yep.
So Carlos, I know you have a huge project and with Mountain Land, but have you placed any of your adventures in these areas?
Well, actually, I just did not too long ago. I was doing some research on the Amedio and in particular the area that you guys are talking about.
Okay.
For my Patreon, this is where this all came from. And in my Patreon, if you'll notice, I was doing an homage to UK 2 and 3, Gauntlet and Sentinel, which takes place in a place called Adlerweg. All right?
Yes. Yeah.
Now,
Great point.
notice that Adlerweg is over in the Lordship of the Isles. that's right along that coast, and they mention that they have long been at war with a city-state or a pair of city-states to the south of that. Well, that would sort of put them on the map, these city-states that they're supposedly at war with right about where Cauldron and Sasserine should be on your map over there. So there's actually, even though it's not explicit, it's kind of implicit. There's a little bit of canon to support the fact that those places do exist in Greyhawk. However, I do agree with Anna that I don't really know that the Isle of Dread, I should say, shouldn't be maybe more to the south or to the maybe a little bit even further out than that. So.
Yeah, I placed it out of my jurisdiction when I made the Flanaess map, because that way I didn't have to deal with it. So
sure.
I shoved it a little bit further south.
Yeah, and I agree with it. It should be a little maybe further south, southeast from the coastline area there. So I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, so we have to collaborate and see where we actually place it when we get there. So yeah.
Right. I didn't, much like you, it was out of the. Well, really, in my particular case, it was kind of out of the scope of what I was trying to do. So I didn't really end up having to address it. But I'd be more than happy to talk about that at some point, because it is, I think, not exactly where they have it. But again, you have to remember, if you're looking at the map of Greyhawk, I mean, these maps, it's not like that. The explorers that made these maps had GPS or anything like that, or satellite. Things are going to be a little bit in different places than you expect. I mean, and we even have some canon to support that again, whether they talk about that, if a city is within a hex of a coastline, it should be a port city. They mentioned that in the folio. So, we know that things aren't exactly where they should be, or maybe the map isn't 100% accurate to begin with.
Really, there is no place in reality, so we have to go by text and then fill in the details.
Right.
So,
here's an interesting Extort 4711 just put. Further history of the Isle of the Ape was revealed in Dungeon 143. There, the tribe currently residing in the Demiplane was said to have originated from the Isle of Dread. Very interesting. I'm interested to see who that author was of that. If you could pull that up, or someone could pull it up, that would be very interesting to get their take on it. So, very nicely done.
Agreed.
Excellent. I wish I knew more about the area, and I don't want to make a cop out, but I've been going through this, Carlos, the Savage Tide, right? I really love the detail. It's amazing that a city that tropical. It's like every day. I mean, I don't know how it functions in like a medieval setting with that. I mean, it's a massive city, Sasserine, right? It's like Greyhawk sized.
Oh yeah, it's a big city. Maybe not that big, but it's big.
It looks well. Yeah, according to this, it's fairly large. Another thing I wish I may have been around for to catch, Carlos. You know much about the Savage Tide setting at all, or
actually, I've mostly because of my interest in Iggwaliv and in lower plains, Savage Tide resonated to me, although not so much the parts about with Sasserine in it. I think Sasserine is probably, it's a little too big for my liking. I don't like the idea that it's such a megalopolis, but by the same token, you mentioned that you're not sure how it works in terms with a medieval setting. Well, I'm not sure that it has to. Okay. I kind of like the fact that there's some verisimilitude here that, between cities and things like that, where you've got a different feel or a different kind of an aesthetic going on there. I mean, I'm familiar with one of our dear friends who used to be on Cannon Fire, is working on a city in Western Eric, and it's got definitely a different feel to what you're seeing in Greyhawk or in the Flanaess or in Sasserine. So I think vive la différence there, to some degree.
Excellent.
But yes, Sasserine, I don't like the idea it's so big. What I really do like most about Sasserine, and if Gary is responsible for the Isle of Dread, this kind of is as a tap of the stick for him. But we've seen Greyhawk elements stolen for Forgotten Realms and places like that for so much. I'm just glad somebody actually stole somebody else's stuff and deals there. So thanks for Gangster and Isle of Dread for us.
So Gary Holian says James Jacobs created Sassarine. Okay, so we got that down
Okay,
for this
cool.
for this
Yeah.
Adventure Path.
How could you guys have me here instead of Gary? Gary should be the one talking about
Because you have your Hetmonoland project, which and
Yes.
Gary, we don't want to abuse Gary too much there, Carlos.
He
Because
went
Gary,
from like 0 to 60. Like
yeah,
really fast.
Gary went from nothing to full throttle there, and we're
Yep.
trying to give him a little of.
But he should come on right now and start.
He should. That's what I'm saying. Gary,
Yep.
come on in
You're
here.
welcome to come on,
Yep.
Gary.
I'll
Anytime.
do my video for a second and watch this Flyers Montreal game, and you can.
Oh, see, please tell me they're winning.
I'm not going to tell you anything.
That's a good sign.
No, it's not a good sign
Oh
for you.
no! Oh man!
They got the better of the play though, right now.
All right, that's
Anyway, yeah, moral victories and all that. But no, I do like the fact that for one, they took an element from another setting and they gave it to us. I kind of Mystara never did anything to us per se. It's Forgotten Realms I have the beef with, but
yeah. But Mystara has its moments, and that's.
I love Mystara. Actually, it's probably my second favorite of the setting, so the game setting. I really do like a lot about Mystara.
It's but it's okay for us to win one on occasion because
Exactly.
it seems to be all of our stuff gets pilfered into FR all the time,
Right.
and
yeah, that's all I wanted to say is I just want to give Gary that. That was nice of him to do that for us.
Anything that sticks out in the general Medio jungle, not counting Cauldron or Sassarine, I know it's really, if we go back to the map, it's really just large swaths of jungle without even, let me get to it here. Boom. So you have this, I mean, look, you have your outpost here that Anna has best guessed. You have your North and South Ullman Isles, which are kind of like the island hopping. There is a Narish, I can't even see what Narish Band on South Ullman Isle. But if you look, and there's also this Alata Hubel down there near the lake under the D in the Medio. But if you go down to this southern map, there's like one or two cities deep in the jungle, and that is it.
Yeah,
I mean, that's thousands of miles.
One of the things I like about this whole thing is being able to use the Ullman culture, because I remember thinking to myself how alien, and to me anyway, because my life experience had nothing to do with this, when I got deities and demigods, how alien and strange the Central American mythos seemed to be to me. Right. And I just love the fact that we get to use them when we're dealing with the Ullman.
Oh yeah. And it is as Mike says, a lot of those gods are evil gods.
Oh yes, they are.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things that interest me in that strikes me in this region. One is that almost all the cities are inland cities. They're not coastal cities. So they're not primarily built for trade. They're probably built for the people that built them are isolationists. They are not seeking contact with the other world. They're staying well away from coast and stuff where strangers will come and raid you and stuff. So I get the sense that they are like isolationists to live out in the forest and keep strangers away, or stay away from strangers. That's one of them. The other one is geographic. The rivers are so weird in the Medio. They split up halfway through and divert in opposite direction and flow towards the ocean. Not like rivers do in the real world, where small rivers flow into a bigger one and that goes into the ocean, and then you have a delta at the very end. But here you have rivers that actually split up halfway to the ocean and become smaller rivers, and it's so weird. So I don't know if someone just did it for the hell of it, or someone didn't really know how physics works, or maybe they just wanted to have some fantasy twist to it. I don't know, but it's one of these kind of interesting geographical phenomena that the rivers are weird, to say the least.
Huh.
It's probably more the latter, that people just didn't take into account how rivers actually work. But by the same token, again, we have an explanation for that. I mean, I hate kind of falling back on this whole thing, but Earth we know to have a magically induced climate to some degree, or at least affected
climate. So it's going to change things like that.
Yeah, meaning the only desert we have is in the middle of the continent. It's the bright desert.
Right.
And yeah, and where it should be desert,
Wow.
it's Tilvanot Peninsula, the area around southern Great Kingdom, Sundi and Midiga and stuff like that. That should be desert when it comes to where it's placed on the globe, so to speak.
Everyone
But
should
it's
look
like North
at
America.
this, at what
sorry.
Yeah, look at
Gary's
that map.
posted. Everyone should look at this map that Gary has posted in there, showing the locations
Be right back.
of yeah. It really shows how far south the Isle of Dread is, according to them. This is on Cannon Fire,
Yeah,
showing the
that's-
Olman
that's-
Empire. It's a really
yeah.
good, it's
That's
basic.
that's the one I used as a base for my place, but I thought it was kind of good one. So yeah.
Yeah. So Yuan Ti were the big problems that ended up in Eastern Olman Empire. Yeah, I noticed that, Gary, in this. So why don't we hop over to Hepmonaland at the
You
present?
have one problem with that map, though. There is a huge island in the middle of the
North of
yeah,
north.
in the yeah, that is kind of interesting. That is not there, so to speak. So or maybe there. So it's a huge island in the middle. It's kind of cool to have a huge island there, but I'd never seen it on any other map. So yeah.
Oh, it's not on any of the other maps at all. Oh, wow.
Nope, it's not on the. And also, the Isle of Dread is probably 3 times too large on this map compared to if you measure it on the dimensions in the.
So
Savage
Gary says
Tide.
it's on the 83 glossography map,
Okay,
which
yeah,
is
it
in the
might be.
book. In the book,
Okay,
not the big
yeah.
map. So
I have to. Yeah, I have to. Hang on a second. I'll have to.
very
look at that one
interesting,
again.
Gary. Very interesting point
Yep.
there. Wow.
It's kind of there's a lot of contradictories here and there, and I found a little thing, but that was probably just a printing error. So let's see here.
Though it's neat to it's neat to find out these things as quickly as possible. And
I blame Cyril for obfuscating these places.
You
She's
blame who?
local, so Cyril, the tool goddess.
Yeah, it's kind of there. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask Carlos.
So I need to update my map because that's one of the ones that disappeared from the. It's not on the Darlene map, but it's on that little thing there. And there was like the forest that disappeared on the Darlene map that wasn't there, but it's on the.
Right.
Yeah. So
Amazing disappearing forest.
Yep. So that's.
Jay, you were gonna ask me if Vladimir Tarasenko is ever gonna play in the NHL again. Probably.
Oh, that's wrong on Mike. Come on. That's just wrong, man. That's funny. So one of the 12
Sorry,
tribes.
I didn't hear that one.
That was a
Love you,
hockey one.
Love you,
okay,
buddy.
good. Yeah.
So here's my question, and because I'm not a fan of them, the Scarlet Brotherhood.
And-
How far has the Scarlet Brotherhood infiltrated in each of your campaigns? Go ahead, Carlos. I want to. What have you done with them?
To be honest with you,
Yeah,
they're about as they're even more ever present in my games than the Horn Society is. I know that a lot of people, especially Anna, really like the whole thing with the Horn Society being so heavily involved in the different governments or organizations, and I do too. I really like that, but I think that because of their continuity that they've had, the Scarlet Brotherhood's had even a bigger chance to do that. I have their fingers in so many pies across the Flanaess and we're talking about the Amedio right now or Hepmonaland, places like that. They're more. They've got more going on there than anybody else does. So, yeah, at least from the northern perspective, I should say.
Okay.
But yeah, in my campaign, they're pretty entrenched.
Have they overtaken the Sea Princes in yours?
They have not only overtaken the Sea Princes, but they still have a hold of Anwal, which, as a matter of fact, that's what the whole premise of my thing for Virtual Greyhawk Con is.
Beautiful.
Is
Which
their interest in Anwal.
Which is going to be
Here
an
it
exciting time. But on a sidebar, very cool. You're doing something with John.
Oh, thanks very much.
It
Yeah,
is.
John's a good guy.
and he's a credit to our community.
Oh, absolutely, a huge credit
And
to our community. Yeah.
For me not to help somebody like Kim that's doing so much for us right now would,
Well,
I couldn't look myself in the eye.
But see, I have another angle, and that is if you're writing it, there's a better chance of you killing Rob, killing Christoph's, and killing Will's characters. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It was a joke. That was a joke.
It is if he's playing the adventure that he told me that he's leaning most heavily towards choosing is the least deadly of the 5 he could have chosen.
Okay.
So I'm not so if I was those guys, I'd breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief that he didn't pick one of them in specific. But
so you're not making him run the cerulean cyst.
I'm not making him run. No, and by the way, what I'm writing right now makes that thing look like Candyland.
Candy, yeah, man.
Yeah, this one's really tough. But anyway, that's another story.
So, Mike, I know where you come in with me on this, but what about the Scarlet Brotherhood?
Yeah, I prefer them to be continent-wide spy masters and behind the scene operators. They're involved with the slave lords and pirate groups and things like that. They are exploring the jungles and probably have outposts and this and that,
but not major overtake. I know this. You and I.
Yeah, militarily, I'm not a big fan of that. In my 2E campaign, I actually, if you have followed my blog on 2E war campaigns I did, the Scarlet Brotherhood got taken over.
Wow.
I mean, not only did we reverse all the gains they made, my players came in, just conquered Scarlet Brotherhood, wiped them out.
Wow.
And that's how much I think of them.
Woo!
And Anna, where do you fall in the Scarlet Brotherhood?
I'm a little bit in the middle of things, because for me, I see Scarlet Brotherhood as strong in Hepmona land and even in the eastern side of the Medio, because it's their backyard. And I saw them as when the Great Kingdom started to falter, and it was war and stuff, their biggest competitor for then that it was a power vacuum. They simply saw a chance. Let's build ship, go out and grab things. So it was simply that when the biggest beefiest power that could keep things in check started having the internal squabbles and all of a sudden wasn't interested in the rest of the world, that's when the Scarlet Brotherhood kind of seized the moment. So I don't see them as a spy ring taking courts and stuff up there, because those courts are ruthlessly skilled in that. So no little outsiders coming from some little petty peninsula down there don't know the spy game, but they are very good savage raiders and going down and bringing slaves and stuff. So that's probably how they started, and they sold to Ruthless. And they also they're great opportunists. So when the Pomage got overrun by humanoids, they were there, so to speak. They say, "Oh, we can supply you," and they got some credit. So Blue had turned into a Scarlet Brotherhood net, and then they realized if we take Scant on the other side, we can control the Strait of Gernot. So that's why they put in huge resources to grab Scant. And in my campaign, they can barely hold on to it. And when Nyrond is now waking up after some years and realize that, well, we're going to bring up Iron League, the Scarlet Brotherhood's days in Scant are numbered. They are going to get booted out fairly quickly. It doesn't matter how skilled in diplomacy. When the big guns are coming, so to speak, and the big powers are coming, then they will be in trouble. So
the only thing I think they have to their advantage, Anna, is I know you also like the Shield Lands a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They have the ability in Scant to hold an entire population hostage, much like happened in Amberford Island.
Yeah. Meaning that they will hold on for dear life, so to speak.
That is what's really going to be their major advantage in Scant. They're basically saying to Nyrond, well, okay, when you show up in the city, we'll leave, but everybody else is going with us in chains. So how do you like that?
Well, so that's the thing. They will probably end up, it will be one of these classic siege. And the Scarlet Brotherhood will simply say, well, over our dead bodies and all the citizens' dead bodies. And then and there might be ruthless rulers in Nyrond and say, well, it's not our citizens, so kill the goddamn bastards so we get rid of it. So there might be, it's going to be tough and interesting and a little bit political savvy, but the Scarlet Brotherhood are now holding on for dear life more than actually. But there's also the other side to it. If Scarlet Brotherhood can shift and become more economically oriented rather than ideologues and go on, and that way they might be less toxic to deal with, and they can still import resources and stuff from Hepona land. So it's about, like so much other in politics and stuff, it's adapt to changing situations and so on. So we'll see. I take them as ideologically rigid and kind of difficult to deal with that way, and that makes them interesting from a lot of perspectives, so to speak.
There is so much that you just said that made me wonder about how that's going to play out. Because, first of all, Crown Prince Linward doesn't seem like the kind of dude that would say, "Hey, go ahead. We're going to just, I don't care what happens in there to all the people." And plus, he's got people like the Paladin from Shining White there that's right on the coast above Anwal. I don't think politically that would play well with her either. Things like
it depends.
But at the same time, from a completely Machiavellian standpoint, it's the right play.
Yeah.
So I don't know what.
It depends, because the Scarlet Brotherhood might kill all the innocent people and replace them with scum from their own backyard. So
I mean, it's very interesting to see how it might play
and it's political. There you have political propaganda. If you can convince everybody that it's just full of Scarlet Brotherhood scum, then you can use all the ruthless methods you want, so to speak. So it's and even good guys can play propaganda at times too. So it's that's the
it's interesting.
I
can see that going a lot of different directions.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
This will be more of Anna's super reveal during Virtual Greyhawk Con on her maps.
Well, I have part of the strategic play, so to speak, is one of these, and the Scarlet Brotherhood is one of these, because now you have the huge upheaval in coming in what used to be Great Kingdom again, and that is changing the existence for Scarlet Brotherhood very, very much. So there is and it's adapt or die. That's what that's always the case in politics, and in a fantasy world, I think that's even more true than in our real world. So adapt or be run over and die. That's and it's also interesting because in a fantasy world you have things that operate on a very quick scale. Take humanoids and others that might not live that many decades. They need change now. And then you have things like elves and dragons and others are very powerful that live for 1,000 years and more. And they might, being conservative when you live 1,000 years, meaning you don't want change in the next 300 years, and a century is not much. So you react slowly, but it can be very decisive. If a dragon sleeps for half a century and then wakes up and realizes the world have changed and I don't like it, then there might be all of a sudden change and stuff. So there's a lot of interesting possibilities in a fantasy world, and especially out in the wilderness areas, because that's where you can put big monsters that would have been killed off, meaning a raiding dragon that lives in Nairon or something. They would either have moved away or killed the damn thing a long time ago. But you can have 10 dragons living in the jungles of Hepona land, each with their own little half country size domain and territory, and it wouldn't bother any sentient human being or other civilization.
Could even be a whole subculture underneath that, where some of them have alliances.
Yep. You can have your monster
so and so, and oh man,
yeah, your monster cults and all sorts of stuff that move out in the periphery. There you have plenty of cool stuff, and you also have the climate, meaning you can live there in your loincloth and go and pick berries and fruit in the desert and out in the jungle, and you don't have to worry much about freezing to death or anything like that.
Think about this.
What we do in Ohio.
Think about this in relation. I don't usually like doing real world stuff, but the great jungle basin in South America, right? There are places there. I mean, they're still finding buildings and culture that they're using with the 3D cartography. We don't even know about, and there's still contact with tribes that have not made contact with the outside world to this day. And so and that is small compared to Hamana land. I mean, my gosh, right?
Well, no, it's actually Hipmona Land. The whole of Hipmona Land is probably smaller than South America. So
Oh,
but
it
a
is.
large
Okay, I thought it
part
was
of it,
about the same as South America and it was all jungle. No,
No, South
okay.
America is
It's
bigger than
bigger? Okay,
Hipmona Land. Yeah,
okay.
Hipmona Land is not that
Mhm.
huge. Hipmona Land is like the size of Greenland or something like that.
Really? Okay, I thought it
Yeah,
was bigger
yeah,
than that.
little bit
I thought it
bigger, but
was
not much.
almost the size of Africa. I am
No, it's
incorrect on
not.
that.
Africa is like 3 times or 4 times
Wow.
bigger
Okay.
than Hipmona. I wish Hipmona Land was kind of bigger because it's so interesting from a cartography perspective, and it's kind of cool to have. We don't have much of Africa like in Earth other than far west. There you can have enormous savannas and stuff like that, but close to the Flanaess, meaning Hipmona Land is a little bit of a runt, so to speak. I would like to expand it out. The Solnor is so huge. It's like the Pacific. It's that big ocean. So there's room to expand, but they didn't. So they kind of cut it a bit short. So yeah.
So Sorrow's Tale, he brought up some great points about the Scarlet Brotherhood being, they had breeding programs, yeah, retirement programs, Office of
Yeah.
Faith working with Office of
Oh, yeah, it's-
Purity. Yeah,
Yep.
I agree on that. You can't teach an old dog like me new tricks, unfortunately. And just in my area of campaigning and Celine and the Ulick and stuff, it just doesn't fit with what I do. In Greyhawk
Mhm.
City, there may be agents there, but it's not a major adversary like I use is, or my Dark Brotherhood, which is completely different. But I understand that a lot of people, there's a huge area of Flanaess that I don't venture on with my group, and that's probably,
Yeah, and
at my
it's
detriment. Yeah.
yeah, and Scarlet Brother is also one of these enemies that you can kind of mold into the enemy you need. If you want a spy organization that have
Yeah.
infiltrated a bunch of courts and stuff, they can be perfect for that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Meaning every good campaign needs its villains and the villainous factions and stuff. So you need you need a bunch of villains with different characteristic, meaning you need the sneaky spy kind of working daggers in the dark kind of faction, and then you want the big brutes who just go out and kill everything in sight, so to speak, that no sophistication and stuff. So depending on what kind of campaign you want to run for the moment, so it's always good to have a bunch of different evil factions and enemies and master villains with different styles for different purposes. So and Scarlet Brotherhood can be molded into those devious Bond villains almost that want to conquer the world and be very
They're
lawful,
Spectre.
rigid,
They're the
and
Spectre
stuff.
of Greyhawk.
Yeah, and you can run them very, very secretly, or they can be that distant villain that kind of just pops up from some time to time and mysterious and stuff. So
My
yeah.
early experiences with Scarlet Brotherhood in like 1E, 2E was harassing my players with assassins.
See,
Okay.
yep.
And
And
monks too, of course.
they never saw
Exactly.
monks. They
No,
Yeah, I
never
was
no,
just
saw
going to
monks. And I wouldn't let them play monks
yeah,
because
that's
that's the Scarlet Brotherhood. Is
yeah,
what I would tell
exactly.
them.
That in my campaign, it's too. They are the ones that if you want to train as a monk, that's where you need to go, so to speak. They
Yeah.
train monks. Yep.
Yeah, obviously I know more now than I did then.
Yeah, but you know what? And wasn't it great on Sunday night to find out how the term Monty Hall got coined?
Oh yes,
That was like
so good.
an epiphany. So
Yep.
we were all Monty Hall, right, Carlos? You, me, when we were kids, when we were younger, we played the Monty Hall style. And so,
think-
Mike,
yeah.
there's forgiveness for all of us. You
Yeah,
know,
every DM has a
early
Monty
on.
Hall period. Yeah.
Yeah.
We all
So,
do. I think. Yeah.
I think the younger you are when you start too, the longer that period is. Or,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the more ridiculous it gets. Yep.
Yeah. So Sorrow says, I love the Bakunish monasteries for monks too. Very interesting. Interesting point there. So Gary says the Scarlet Brother may even breed you with your biological family. Well, okay, that's I wouldn't want to be part of that. So, but yeah, that would be pretty awful.
Yeah, I think if you, but that's kind of. But now we should not go into that too much. But it's interesting if you want to run your awful campaign that way, then Scarlet Brotherhood is the enemy for you. I think. Yeah.
So, according to this northwest map of Hepmana Land, you have them, the Scarlet Brotherhood, in pretty far according to your boundaries here with your locations up in the
Yeah,
the northwest.
Yeah, I took them as their biggest landholds simply because they're probably the oldest, so
Okay.
they kind of took, and it's also because I think that they don't have that many. Well, I think Scarlet Brotherhood are the ones, if they can exploit resources somewhere else, they do that rather than home, because I think they are long-term thinkers. They're not like demons and others who just do whatever the whim comes over them, so to speak. They are the tyranny and the villains that think long term, meaning they have breeding programs and they have all sorts of stuff to maintain their pure and their race and their all that stuff for long term. So that's why I think that they keep the resources at home and always make sure that they get resources from somewhere else first, and they keep the ones at home for later use in case that's an emergency, or the bank account, meaning they don't cut down the forest on the Tilvanot Peninsula. There are not that many. If they can go to Hipmonaland and take down the trees there and raid the mines and all that stuff there, and so that's why I made those kind of conquests bigger, especially the first ones, because they're closer to home, so they can use them for
I only go as far south as Anna's map goes here, but you have Zar, Lurga, Sharba, and Sharbakal, and in this area. Now, Anna, did you take and colorize the heraldic symbols from this book, or
Yes.
were they
Yeah.
okay? Wow, that's
And
pretty
I
good.
put my own colors, but I love the heraldry, but I thought heraldry needs to have colors. In my opinion, it should. So that's why I took this black and white sketches and colorized them.
So you have the lands of Zola Pequa and
Yeah.
I can't say that one. Kuwetla.
Kuetla. Yeah,
Kuwetla.
Kuetla and Solapeka.
Yeah, and that's as far south as there's one over to the west as well. To the east, I apologize that I did not
Oh yeah,
add in there for another one.
Natal and
Yeah, I don't know much about them. Carlos, do you have any knowledge on those different lands? I know Lurga is a huge worshippers of Lurg that I read, but other than that, I don't know too much.
No, not all that much footing on that.
Okay.
Yeah, but the Anatal is interesting because they're Tuv and not almond, so
Right.
so they are a different breed. So
But there are two of.
Yeah. So they are the northern outpost of the Tuv.
Okay,
if
so
they have an empire or something, I don't know, but they're culturally different.
Here's my question, and that is: this map here goes for. Wait a minute, let me move this up. This map here has the whole continent.
Yeah.
All right. So is the Tuluv Empire the southern part that's not on the Darlene map?
Yeah, I don't know how big the Tuv is, but so
Well,
I think they come from the south, don't they?
Yeah. Now we're starting to talk about something that dovetails into a project I'm working in. So yes,
that's what we want you here. So
yes, that is.
Yep.
Yeah, that is on the definitely in the south end of the map there that you're looking at. Pretty much everything beneath the mountain area there, and in the savannah, that grassland area is Tove.
Okay. Okay.
By the way, for those of you guys who are interested in such things, I may or may not have commissioned a map of that area from a professional cartographer for you guys to have in one of my modules coming up.
Oh, that's awesome.
Cool.
May or may not have done that.
Very nicely. A wonderful Carlos Easter egg.
I'm waiting for that.
Looking forward to that as well.
Yeah,
all right, so
it plays into my charity module. It's coming up.
Fantastic. Are you shooting for January or February for that still?
January. In fact, I want to hold it on January 7th, my birthday.
Okay. I'm in 100%.
So, awesome. Thank you so much.
No problem. All right. So what's the Scarlet Brotherhood? Is Scarlet Brotherhood seeking anything in Monoland and the media, or conquest, something, items? Give me an idea. Does anyone have any knowledge on that, or just?
I can only speak about what, from my perspective on this, and the Scarlet Brotherhood. Anna mentioned that it would make a great place for a desert in the Tilvanot Peninsula. I think that she's right, and I also think that Tilvanot is kind of resource deprived. They're there for two reasons. They're there for resources, and they're there for slaves. In my opinion, conquest, yeah, that's great. Showing dominion over your enemies is always great, but they've got a more real reason to be there, and that's to get the kind of natural resources that they don't have, and manpower in form of slaves.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, and slaves is one of the vital resources, because when you don't have, that's the energy source, basically, human muscle power.
Right.
So they need it, and also I think they are a lazy bunch. They don't want to do all the manual work, and they
Oh,
need
sure.
exactly, yeah. So that they need slaves for all the construction and all the menial tasks, because they want to, all the racial pure ones that normally would do a lot of work, that are able-bodied young ones, they want them to be soldiers and overseers, and since they run a large occupied or like forcefully held part of the population, means that they have to have a lot of, would be equivalent of overseers, policemen, and enforcers of all kinds and stuff like that. So they don't run an efficient society. That's probably why they need a lot of slaves, because it's an inefficient economy. Yeah.
Gold and silver, would that be a resource kind of like Peru has, just
I
basically
wouldn't
in
be
its
surprised.
dirt?
Yeah.
They.
Yeah.
I was just curious if that was another major resource that they're looking for. Um,
Isn't Scarlet Brotherhood in the box set? Isn't there resources like question mark? We
It
don't
is.
know.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's a question. I wish once again, not being an expert on it, that I knew a little bit more about, and that's one of the reasons why I love doing this show tonight, because I want to learn everything I can about all of Greyhawk.
If you look at the Scarlet Brotherhood's particular, the actual game supplement, they don't mention a whole lot about mining or things like that. So getting ores and things like that are probably as important to them as timber and things like that. I mean, with the Scarlet Brotherhood, I mean, everything is going to be, there's always going to be a layer beneath it that you don't understand what they're really trying to get at. But the truth is that I think that's their reason for being there is pretty explicit to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorrow's Father Beans is mostly interested in slaves, making allies in Hepmona Land. And his worry is that slaving will ruin chances of developing allies, so he has scaled back slaving in many parts of Hepmona Land. And he says that is a canon comment. So that's pretty interesting. Maybe that's a way to get away from the awful slavery issue. That people want to avoid. Now, what time frame at Sorrows is that? Is that quote
Gotta
from?
be Greyhawk Wars.
What's that? Greyhawk Wars?
Gotta be Greyhawk Wars. Gotta be.
Okay. So it's a good thing to see. It's a subject that you don't want your fantasy game. We've always discussed this on different shows, but you want your fantasy game to stay away from your real life, right? As much as possible, to keep it a fantasy game that everyone enjoys. With a good.
Yeah,
I know.
But slavery is one of these like evil issues that, as long as you're fighting it, I think it's good to have stuff like that.
Anna, I'm glad you said that, because I'm gonna be 100% honest here. Without darkness, there's no light. Okay,
exactly.
And for you to hide your eyes from it doesn't do anybody any favors. The Scarlet Brotherhood are into terrible things. We know it. Okay,
exactly.
But the whole idea is.
Yep.
By showing, hey, it's good to fight against these things. I think you're doing more of a service than by eschewing them.
Okay.
Yeah, meaning, but pointing out that things that are evil, terrible things to do, and that should be.
This is a horrible thing. It's bad, and we should stop.
Yep. And so that way, that's the way I think you can have things like racism, slavery, and a whole bunch of awful things, bullying and tyranny and stuff like that should be in a fantasy game.
I think in Ghost to Saltmarsh, the 5e Ghost to Saltmarsh.
Yeah.
One of the things in there is some factions, and one of them is Scarlet Brotherhood. Like, you could be part of the Scarlet Brotherhood.
Yeah.
And I would never entertain.
Exactly. Then it's done wrong, I think. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
The only way I could see it working out is somebody trying to play some
double
kind
agent.
of double agent, deep cover kind of thing. Hey, you're working for the Iron League, and we're going to beat them at their own game, and we're going to be a double agent, and then you get to find out that actually they're really good at this. And
yeah.
By the same token, I would not let my players be servants of values.
Oh yeah, no.
Yep.
No.
That's tricky. I've done that mistake.
I've allowed PCs to. This is really stretching it. Be worshiping a lawful neutral aspect of Hexter the combative aspect.
Sure.
That's as far as I've stretched it. No, no Leviatar, which is the main pain in my game. No Ayus, no roll, no Erythnol, no Tharas. No, you just can't.
Somewhere out there, Casey is just it's like power word stun. You say you can't worship.
Yeah.
Actually, more like symbol of pain, probably.
Casey Brown. Well, so on Saturday night's game, they fought a priest of Ayus. They actually did. They fought it called one of the fingers of Ayus, who was trying to become a lesser Boneheart, and they actually fought them, and that was good. So Garn was so abused on Saturday night. If you haven't seen it, you got to watch it. He fails every save. It's hysterical. But Jose Ortiz, he came to the rescue. So. Yeah, absolutely. With his Inquisitor, who I discuss in my latest Earth Journal article, what a great character that is. So that he played. So Abominations. Gary says that Abominations took care of the Ulman Empire in Hepmonaland. I don't know why I didn't snip this picture in. I should have, but that is a freaking cool picture, right? With all in there of all the different Wanti type abominations. I've used them.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Anna. Go. No,
I was just going to say, jungles are such a awesome biome or type of terrain for all sorts of interesting, weird monsters that you normally don't have. And warm climate is full of reptiles, and you can have all sorts of things that will not make that much sense in a temperate area and up in the Flanaess. So it's an interesting change of scenery.
Yeah.
Everyone, ladies and gentlemen, I have to leave for the evening.
Thank you,
I just
Carlos.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for coming on. I know it's been a long day, so thank you.
Always good talking to you.
And I've got editing to do on the module I wrote for Michael that he's never going to get to play.
Wonderful.
We're looking forward to all the new cool content coming.
Yes. Okay, thank you so much, guys.
Have a great night. Thank you so very much.
Bye-bye.
See
you. So, Wanti remind me of a really, really vile version of a mongrel, right? Way worse, obviously. I've used Wanti in association with Nagas and other things, but I never have gone into the depth that they have in this, with this level of awfulness. So it's just pretty awful in this the type of experimentation going on in the book, and that's a good thing. That is really a great evil to combat. And there's all different kinds of half-breeds and abominations in this book, so it's like prevalent throughout the area of Hepmona. And now I can understand why the Empire fell to this to that evil. So
we're also in the immediate. And I can point you to the Treasures of Greyhawk modules series.
Yes.
There's
a great book.
There's a story called Terror in the Tropics, where you go to check on one of these little sea princes outposts, forts, or whatever on the coast.
Yeah.
And you're trying to investigate what's happened to it.
What's the treasure in that one, if I may say?
Oh, I don't remember what the treasure is. I just remember what the setup is.
Treasures of Greyhawk, we were talking a little bit, there was a discussion about it on Greyhawk Online's Discord earlier in the week, and I love that reference is great, especially for some decent one-shots and for some really cool stories. But that one I don't think I've ever run that one. I'll have to take a look.
That one's actually a two-parter, because I think the second part, I can't remember if it's the first or the second part, but there's another one that actually takes place in the Sea Princes, where you work with Prince Gian, and that involves acquiring a sword, like an family heirloom.
Yeah, and that came out at the beginning of second edition, if I recall.
Yeah,
it came out right after the box set, before the Return of the Falcon series. I think that's when that came out. Definitely, if you can get a hold of that book, that reference, it's worthwhile. For taking a look at and Anna just recently put the Shroud of Kyrene map locations in the Cairn Hills. Remember, Anna? And the symbols from that one, that adventure. Yeah, which is pretty neat. All right, so let's talk about Paizo's what they have done in this area, which is huge. I mean,
What have they done?
well, I have to ask once again. Is this Anna, your map with Cauldron? Is that your placement, or that where the placement is?
It's roughly where they had maps that were that detailed, but I tried to fit it into my terrain. Map. So yeah, so it's the Lazaretti had a map that looked really cool, but didn't have much detail. But so I tried to match it as well as I could. So it's roughly in that location where it's supposed to be according to
okay.
The adventure.
I don't know much about Cauldron, but it's like separate from Sasserine, correct?
Yes.
I think it's a separate. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they are connected, and they describe the road between and stuff like that. So yeah.
I see the road, the Immediate Highway that you placed. On this map. So. The Cauldron was there. Cauldron was technically not placed in Greyhawk, but after the fact, kind of, and they said this is a good place for it. Is that what happened?
I think so. Okay. I don't think it's written with the Greyhawk intent from the get-go, but it fits really well down there, and it also mentions Sasserine and a whole bunch of stuff in there. So,
okay, so basically they wrote it up and said, where can we put this? And then that's how.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Like I said, I've never. Oh, here we go. Question: what time period I can get deep? But I found that the reference to the two is in the Scarlet Brotherhood accessory. So I got it right in my hands right here. Is what you're saying? In the section plans for Monoland mentioned. All right. Cool. All right. So this is second edition era then for this book. This book is 1999. So it's still It's right at the end of 2E. So all right. Very interesting on that. That's the time frame for this. I thought it may have been post. I thought maybe that would have been post Living Greyhawk era, but very interesting to note that it's stated in here that they're looking for more alliances in Monoland than slavery because of the negative impact toward it. That doesn't mean that it's not happening on a regular basis, and that's So very thank you so very much for that. Page 23. Yep. Cool. I mean, I could be scouring through it. I got it. Okay. Yep. Beautiful. They're also interested in any information on the Amedian Sul giants, the Sul subrace called the Larara, and new varieties of troll. Huh. Alrighty. So that is a more tractable owlbear, a green slime that assumes a dormant spore form, and a privately funded rust monster spitting snake crossbreed. Ew. Okay, so they got breeding experiments going on.
Nasty stuff.
Yep.
Scarlet Brotherhood. Yeah. As you can see how pristine mine is, I rarely touch it. So it's just because of my campaign setting.
I rarely go down there too. I've detailed some because I was kind of interested in it. So there's more detail on my map than it is on my campaign map than it is on the public version of the map. But not that much. Not like other places, but a little bit. Yeah.
So with Sasserine, they went really hardcore on this, and now that we know who the creator of this was in the Savage Tide series, which all appears in all the dungeons, right? Dungeon magazines, a lot of them at the end of Paizo Hawk's tenure.
It was one of the major article series that was like in almost every issue. That was the
post Age of Worms.
Yeah, you had both the adventure itself, and then you had one that was kind of a companion article that went in and talked about the background stories. They talked more about settlements and all sorts of stuff, and then they have the player's guide as well with some of the mechanics and player.
I'm really torn on Savage Tide because, like Anna's saying, the Sasserine thing, and even the trip around the coast of the Medio and Dow all the way down to the Isle of Dread, that felt like one adventure on its own. And then, as we know, the Isle of Dread is a whole campaign if you want it to be, just exploring that island. And then everything that came after that, where it got real high level and you're dealing with demons and all the stuff, the actual Savage Tide, meta plot. I didn't like that part.
Yeah.
Once it devolved away from Orth, basically, then I thought,
Gary says James Jacobs seemed to be a fan of my Isle of Dread material and Death Knights and found a way to combine them. You snuck your way into this, Gary. Page, all right, I see it right here, page 14 under affiliations. Are you ready? The Seekers. The Seekers have a presence in nearly every major city in the world, yet few know their existence. A group of treasure-seeking adventurers at best, or a nefarious organization of thieves and grave robbers at worst. The Seekers themselves are a loosely knit group of explorers, adventuring scholars, and fortune hunters who scour the world for ancient secrets and lost magic for personal gain and profit. All character classes are equally suited for this affiliation. So there you go.
Congrats, you just joined Eli Tomaras.
Oh, yep. Mm-hmm.
So, yes, so they got the Church of the Whirling Fury, Dawn Council, Scarlet Brotherhood, the Seekers, Witch Wardens, and Zelkaroon's Horns are some of the affiliations in Sasserine that you can join. And in the background, I described a black pearl that created a savage tide that destroyed the last almond city on the Isle of Dread. Beautiful. So, man, this man Gary's got his hands in everything at this time period, didn't he? Every little, I mean, the little tidbits out there are awesome. So fantastic. I need to delve deeper into this and really go into. I mean, here's the whole map. I should have snipped this in. There's the entire map of it.
It's a interesting map. I've actually ran stuff in that city.
Okay.
After Savage Tide was over, I used a little bit of Sasserine in my Sea Princess campaign, because technically, by the timeline, Sasserine was part of the Sea Princes for about 100 years.
What era?
I think from like 480 to 580.
So really. So 580's not that long.
I'm just estimating.
Okay.
But yeah, they were part of the Sea Princes. If you want to include them in box set era before Sasserine existed, I would say pre-wars, Sasserine is probably just getting its independence from the Sea Princes, or is still part of it.
So pre-581. The 581 wars, okay, in that era.
Oh, they're all right. Part of the. We're part.
I did not know that. I did not know.
It's written in the story about Sasserine, I think. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The Sea Princes were kind of keeping them secret.
Said I did my best to get information during this, but it says further details are in Dungeon 139, so I need to take a look at that.
Yep.
Okay. All right, I need to definitely. Population is 15,650 according to this. According to this, it's pretty big.
Town.
Yeah.
Uncharted jungle.
See, Gary, that's one thing that my buddy Brian Sublime. Everyone knows Brian. Everyone knows he has a 5e Greyhawk campaign, and he's going to be on our Big Bad team on Saturday, and he's running a game for Virtual Greyhawk Con. Brian moved over from Forgotten Realms to Greyhawk for one specific reason, and that is they were tired of it's us against saving the world in every adventure path, right? And they just were tired of it, and he likes the feel of Greyhawk more, where you don't have that. It's more localized. Attempting to copy the scavs.
My experience, and this is even before the 3rd edition adventure paths and things. This is from all my high level, like AD&D campaigns, my Monty Hall campaigns. Once these characters get to the point where they got like 8th to 9th level spells and they got every magic item in the book, you gotta put them on world saving missions. Otherwise, you gotta save the world from them.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
At 8th or 9th level?
No, I'm talking 8th or 9th level spells.
Oh my gosh!
Can catch wish spells and stuff.
What?
They can easily become the bad guy. So you got to put them on world saving missions to keep them busy.
Okay.
Yep.
I've been
more world saving.
Yeah.
I try to do, but I try to balance it with more counter powers to it. So magic is not as straightforward. When you get up there, it's sensitive, and you can be detected from a large distance, and blah blah and stuff like that. To make it more kind of scary to use high level magic.
We will discuss this next week too in our when we announce. But a trivia question, and I'm not tooting my own horn that I'm a great DM or anything like that. This is not what this is about. How many player characters in my campaign are able to cast 9th level mage spells? 0. I think 0, because you have to be 18th, right?
Yep.
How many are
Yeah.
able to cast 8th level mage spells? 0.
Oh, you don't have any 16th
No, because
level
fence.
characters?
Tim's. I don't count Skeeve. I don't count Monty Hall characters that. Would
And what's resurrection? Is that 7th or 8th?
That's 7th. That's 7th clerical.
Okay.
That's 7th clerical, and that's a 16th level cleric.
Yeah.
So that's a tough one
I think
to get
it's.
to.
I think that one thing that is really important when you start having characters with
Yes.
high level magic, it's material components become a really meaning. Really meaning if you need 1,000
Agreed.
GP diamond every time, then you have to damn well go out and get one, so to speak. So that's one way of making it hard. Meaning, in order to cast one of these really fancy spells, you really need to get the resources. And the other thing is that the magic should come with some sort of risk or something involved, meaning it can be detected and stuff like that. So yeah. So other big powers in the world, they keep an eye out for, are there powerful casters in the vicinity, and magic being cast kind of is detected. So yeah.
It's tough. I mean, once again,
That's
you have to
how I
balance.
deal with it.
You have to balance what your players want versus what you're DMing and all that.
Yep.
So that's a rough one. That's a real rough one. And I know when we get into the next week's topic, it'll be very interesting to discuss.
Now, if I could steer this back onto Savage Tide, though,
Sure.
one of my favorite things that I got out of this was that in the adventure path they created the Crimson Fleet.
Okay.
Pirate group.
Cool.
And they're based out of the Pirate Isles, which is one of them chains of
it's
islands.
In the middle of the
It's right in the middle. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of on your way to the Isle of Dread. You know, they're a threat.
Oh, so it's between the Tilvanat and the Amidio.
But it's near that big island in the middle that was missing on the Darlene
not the
map
big
that
island, but to the left of it.
Yeah, exactly. So now there needs to be a big island in the middle that doesn't.
And
have
they have an island. It's called Socorvia, I believe. And they have their own little port called Scuttle Cove, which is also a pretty big town. And the Crimson Fleet's just this really big, like, demon worshipping pirate group. And they factored real heavily into my Sea Princess campaign as a rival, really.
Yeah.
You know, I always thought to myself, you know, how can you have players in a pirate campaign be the good guys? Well, have even worse pirates than them, right?
How far north do they go, or could they go? Can they go to blue? Can they go all the way to blue?
That's one of the tricky things. I would say maybe, but they run the risk of getting knocked out. I would keep them in the Denzak Gulf, Tilva Strait, you know, just kind of, they own like everything in the Denzak Gulf and south. But if they venture anywhere into the Azure Sea, then
you got warships from Keel in.
Then there's plenty of privateers and stuff coming after them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That is, I need to read up on that too. That sounds like a great. So they're raiding. Are they raiding as far west as Sasserine or no?
They're definitely a threat to Sasserine.
Okay.
So if they're coming around the Horn, that means they're also a threat to the Sea Princes.
Okay.
And so how I reasoned it, I don't think this is in writing, but how I reasoned it was the Crimson Fleet are largely made up of pirates who have defected from other pirate groups, like the Sea Princes, Lordship of the Isles, you know, mutineers and stuff. They're the worst of the worst, and they know if they go back home, they'll be hung or whatever. So they've all banded together into this really bad fleet of pirates.
That's great. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
I'm. Who created them? I'm wondering, and I guess it was James Jacobs.
I'd have to look at the.
Yeah.
Probably.
Do they have their own heraldry and stuff?
Yeah, I think it's definitely like a red skull. It's in one of the books. I'm sure of it.
Okay.
Crimson.
Dead Enders. Yeah, it sounds it. But.
And,
well, that's awesome to hear that.
There's a whole there's a whole issue just about Scuttle Cove with maps and stuff. They're well detailed.
In dungeon.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me note that down too. Always good to get information that I know nothing about, man, and see what kind of details you can pull out of it. Mike, thanks for that little tidbit there.
That's great.
So in my Sea Princess campaign, which is a South Seas campaign, my big three is always the Sea Princes, the Crimson Fleet, and then the Scarlet Brotherhood's pirate fleet, which I call the Cousins of Tilva.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if you remember, the Scarlet Brotherhood is a three-part organization: monks, thieves, and assassins.
Right.
Well, I always thought to myself, thieves, who are they stealing from? They're on a plateau, right?
Yeah.
So I figured it out: pirates.
Piracy.
So their pirate group is secretly Scarlet Brotherhood.
So I have the map up for the Sea Princess now, and this map here, it does not have. It has the Sea Princess symbol and not the Scarlet Brotherhood symbol on it. So this is 576, obviously,
Right.
which is good. What's that? Oh, so there's Wanti lands in the middle of this too, Anna, right? The Wanti, it says Wanti lands of Hethiska.
Yeah. That was something I kind of liked, so I kept it. It's from the Living Greyhawk campaign. Is a 1T. And
Gary says you added my unpublished locations. So Gary, please specify. Is that it? Your Wanti lands? Is that yours? So
and we can blame him. That's awesome.
Yeah, because I did not recognize that until I looked deep into this.
You see, if someone sends me the information, it goes on the map. That's the thing. I don't know. It was in one of the summaries that I got. So I don't know where it came from. So yeah,
I'm gonna have to make a
we have to remove
map
it
of...
if he's angry. We have.
Is that in the marshes though?
What's that? It's it's in the southernmost. Yeah, it's like.
It's along the Hool, the
right.
river that flows. It's in the marshes around the Hool River. So yeah.
So it's near Melcott.
Yeah, near. Yeah. It's in the. You could see. Yeah, you see in Zoom.
I think Gary was trying to set up Malden's land for a fall. Or something.
Yeah.
Malkatia. Absolutely is on there. Up and around Maumurg, Ensar, Port Cairn, Poignard. Yeah, that they're Port Calm. I'm sorry. Is that Calm? Yeah, Port Calm, Poignard. So, Mike, what happened in the Battle of Flotsam and Jetsam in history?
Yeah.
The Battle of Jetsam Bay, I think it's called.
And it was between the Sea Princes and...
Sea Princes lost.
Right. To Keeland?
It's, or maybe more of a draw or whatever, but Sea Princes definitely didn't win.
Okay.
And it's the battle that kind of pacified the Sea Princes, made them focus more on getting rich and trading and exploring than going out and raiding everyone all the time.
Yeah.
Do you know roughly what time frame? It should be in the glossography if I recall correctly.
I'd have to look it up. I want to say it's in the 400s. So.
All right. So that that would mean that the Sea Princes were a huge naval power and have waned a bit
I'd say they've built back up.
Okay.
But they've just not devoted to outright piracy anymore.
Okay.
They leveled up the food chain, so yeah.
I love the whole Sea Princess concept in the area, and that's why I was so upset with From the Ashes.
Yep.
And I know Mike was in agreement with that.
Oh yeah, me too. I've downplayed their.
It's just so much to do with the Sea Princes. It's a waste opportunity just to have them conquered and just wiped out.
I agree 100%. I always have
I need to make a map of the Sea Princes for Anna of my campaign because I have about a dozen new towns on there.
Exactly. So then I can upgrade the one.
Mike, if you could get
and they're referenced in the last Earth Journal article I had.
Okay. Oh, that's one of the best.
Yeah, there's no map to go with it.
Okay.
Yeah, because I added some stuff in there that that I thought appropriate, but there are.
Mike, get that to Anna so she can have it for October's show and have it on
Yeah.
there. I mean, that would be fantastic
Yeah.
to have those locations. If you have not, was it 32 or 33? It was 32, wasn't it? Or journal,
And
Mike?
it wasn't the last one.
Yeah.
It
So
wasn't the
if you have not seen,
Oh.
yeah. So Gary was writing up there for Eric. If you have not read Mike's article detailing all the fleets of the Sea Princes, and
I got houses of sea princes, fleets.
you need to
Yeah,
go back to Earth
it's
Journal 32
very
and read
extensive.
that. It is fantastic. If you want to do a campaign in that area, that is the go-to
And
Bible.
yeah, the Scarlet Brotherhood's probably lurking in the shadows.
Yeah.
They could kill everyone off, I guess, if you want, but I like them.
Yeah.
I like old sea princes.
Good night, Alderon. Thanks for coming on. For me, it's simple. Keelan is in the Ulic states. Ulic's got a lot of warships, are major powers. I need a foe. I need a foe in the area, and the Sea Princes are that foe for me. It just there's got to be something going on. And plus, I had a war with the Sea Princes in Keeland, a surprise land war when I was a kid back in. It's part of my history in my game, So you need to have certain things in there. All right, so we've mulled through this like I expected.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah.
Once again, just to relate here from Dungeon Meister, I'm going to go through these pictures. This is the Champions District, I believe, in Sassarine. That's up. Yes.
Oh, that is
all right. This is called his Heirs of Greyhawk. This is post War of Ayus, and these are all descendants of the latest. So this is like probably 20 years after everything happened in Living Greyhawk, in his Living Greyhawk campaign. And this is like a tropical morning in Sassarine's picture with one of the members. I think that's Liam giving a noble lady a fencing lesson. Every morning. So I just love the detail of the trees in this. I'm gonna see if I can blow this up just a little hair here. So, but once again, that's another wonderful picture of Sassarine. This is the Sassarine arena where the half-elven woman who's very fiery has called out two gladiators, and they have to fight the gladiators. So another wonderful, wonderful picture. Done in background, and let me see here what we have left, and then I think we have the Ticklish Ogre. I think is in this book, in the Savage Tide book, and so this is as seen inside the Ticklish Ogre, which is in so I gotta find it here. It's what the exact location is.
We have one that asked me a question here.
Sure.
Tell us, so please, you wanted to ask me a question, so please ask it in chat here, and we'll see.
Yeah, so Gary, this is once again, I'm gonna link it one more time. He does a lot of Pathfinder, and he has a great story on. I've linked this multiple times with the mages. There'll be more next week for because he has pictures of Otto, pictures of Mordenkainen, pictures of Tensor, pictures of the and this is Tomoacon. This last picture is outside the ruins of Tomoacon. Has a lot of great artwork that for his campaign, all digitally done, and gave me full permission to utilize it in the context of Greyhawk discussions and just citing him, and that's what I'm doing here. So really unbelievable artwork done by Dungeon Meister. There's his link. Always go on and just say, hey, what a great job you've done. And there's he runs a lot of Pathfinder, Adventure Paths too. But his game his Greyhawk game is still going on at this time. So, yeah, it's fantastic work, and that's why whenever I get an opportunity here, I'm gonna link it, the stuff, because artistry is something we need to cherish. And I want to throw something else up during announcements from Saturday night that if you didn't see it, and you're going to see it also because it's submitted with my Earth Journal article. If you did not watch Saturday night's game, I want to throw up something that Jose Ortiz did for us. Anna knows it was a wonderful picture of his Inquisitor
Yeah.
and show you that. So, do you use artistic license based on what you thought the geography was, or did you have a source to draw it on the way you did? That's a good question. I know that he takes his work seriously, and with all the different programs he utilizes, and that would be a great question to ask. He speaks English and French, so give him some questions there. So Amy says, I'm looking at an area in the South Providence listed on NAS maps, and was curious about the geography around the area to the east of hills in the county of Downs. So maybe you could.
There's some lakes and rivers and stuff, and that is part of me always try to analyze the how the drainage of an area works, because that's something that is not on the Darlene maps at all. I mean, you have the major rivers. That will be to have a map of North America, and you only have the Mississippi and the three biggest rivers in America and nothing else. And that's about the detail you get. So I realized I needed to have 10 times more rivers and lakes where I thought it would be logical to have it, so to speak, and also to add detail. And so the county of the Downs, I just simply assumed that it will be cool, and it will be cool to have some hills and stuff there, but also the when you have border areas are usually not just straight out in the middle of a plain. So they usually have some sort of feature. It depends. Either if there are two powers that are separated by such a distance that they're barely in contact with each other, then you can simply say there is some sort of border roughly halfway out there in the plains, so to speak. You can have like you have in the real world in Mongolia and some of these kind of steppes. You simply say, if 1,000 miles in that direction someone else lives, and some halfway between us there is a border, and no one knows exactly where it is. That's I think very much more typical in the fantasy world. But this is an area where people have lived and highly civilized for hundreds of years, meaning we're talking about one of the key areas of the Great Kingdom and before then it was the kingdom of Alyssa. So it's been civilized and people have been living, farming, and existing here for thousands of years probably, and elves as well. So borders tend to either be by rivers or in the middle of forest or mountain ranges when they've been around forever, so to speak, because then they settle in negotiations or warfare and stuff to something that is tangible. So I simply created a tangible line out of the few details that were there. I had the Gray Flood River. That was the only thing I had. And then I had the Rio Wood in the south. So rivers tend to come with tributaries and lake systems, and then you had some hills, and simply the county of the Downs, to me, it sounds like there should be some hills in it. So that's the kind of reasoning that I do. I take fragments of details and elaborate on them and kind of fill in the gaps, because that's basically what I do when I do my maps. I have to take one sentence and make it into or just one detail, meaning there's a lot of people that live there. Okay, that means that they probably produce their own food and stuff. That means agriculture, blah blah blah, etc. So I take the climate and the few details I can deduct, and then I try to simply make something of that makes sense.
So I'm going to answer a question from Mystery Cycle here. Mystery, this is what you want to do. You go to that site, and then you go on the one drop-down bar and just hit the event schedule. Go to the bottom and then click 100 per page. It'll show all the events in chronological order, and you'll be able to see everything that's available. Also, if you go to the other button down, you'll have you'll see a guide listing where all the highlighted streams are in slices, and you can press on each slice and it'll take you right to the Twitch channel as well. Okay, so you got a lot of cool things that Josh Zarathon has coded into that site, so you can get to everything pretty easily. Okay, cool. So what a interesting discussion tonight, to say the least.
Yeah,
we did our best. We did our best on this.
It was a bit haphazard here.
Yeah, we had Len and Carlos come on to help us out, and it's good to tackle things we're not experts on, right? It is. It is really good because that way I learn. I want to learn. Like we really
Me
need
too.
we need to delve into. I want to
Yeah.
delve into the Northeast. We haven't done the barbarians. We need to do snow or ice frost barbarians in the future. So there's a lot of things we need to delve in. Um, no, Josh, you can watch the video back. How's that? How's that? So, all right. So let's do some announcements here. Anna, why don't you start it off?
Well, first of all, I have to say I'm so sorry to everyone I haven't answered emails and stuff. My back has been killing me the past couple of days, but
Ooh.
thankfully I've been standing the whole time here, and it's best in the afternoon. And now Mikey, my husband, he found the pill, the right pills to with some,
Drugs.
yeah, the really big painkillers. So that's good. So that's why I'm a bit behind, but I'm working on I've taken a few days vacation, both for sick leave, so to speak, but also a vacation away from the Atlas, a couple of days, to work on my Sheelands map.
Nice.
And so I'm making good progress. I'm rendering each area. So I go up and turn my computer on, and it takes 8 hours to render an area. So I'm rendered the third area, and there will probably be another few, so I can start texturing and stuff and work on that in the upcoming months. And then so I'm up for doing the political map, the overview map, and the rest of the Atlas project, so to speak. And there will be an index, a raw version of the index coming too soon, as well soon. So yeah. Otherwise, there's a whole bunch of projects I want to start after the Atlas is done. So I'm really, really looking forward to move into a new era, because the Atlas is hopefully, and yeah, it will be the last big project that I do that is based on the old map. Now it's time to leave the old map behind and start doing new stuff, so to speak. That's the key. I will still use that material from time to time, definitely, and it will be living for the next 5 years for sure, but or maybe even 10 years before it's replaced. But from now on, it's time to move on to start doing new stuff. And the Shieldlands map is my first test of it for my own campaign, because there will be the quality will be so and so here and there and stuff. So but the Lindor Isle is coming a close second here. So yeah.
Lots of stuff going on.
Yeah.
We're all in preparation for a lot of things, and it's exciting. And I'll save mine for the end here. But go ahead, Mike. What's hot? What's going on?
Well, on Greyhawkery, my last post is just kind of a quickie one I threw out. I came up with some new magic item names, ideas.
Yeah, I
I
saw
was
that
kind of
one.
inspired by Unearthed Arcana. Like
Nice.
there should be more magic items named after deities.
Mm-hmm.
And so I threw out a bunch of ideas, and I'm gonna maybe develop some of them later, or if anyone wants to throw out some ideas on what these items do, they can chime in. Otherwise, I'm working on an article for Orth Journal right now. That's kind of got me obsessed. I don't know which Orth Journal to be in. That's up to Christoph, but it's got a lot to do. There's a lot of Sewell history involved.
Uh-huh.
So I've been digging in Scarlet Brotherhood a lot lately, and it had nothing to do with this topic today.
Well, that's okay. It really is, man.
Cool.
I mean,
Yeah.
we're all crunching the numbers and doing a lot of things. So I'm like overwhelmed. All right. So I'm not bitching, Josh. I'm not bitching, but I have a stream tonight. I have a game tomorrow night. I have the Big Bad taping finally on Saturday. All right,
Yes.
finally. So I said this to Anna, and there was a bizarre post in Instagram by Luke Gygax. So it appears that Stefan Picorni invited Luke to play in their taping of the Big Bad, and the post said from Luke, "I know we were the best team. I know we won, but we got to find out when the show comes out." So then I responded to him, "Luke, my group hasn't even taped yet, so we haven't even gone yet. That's And then he said back, "It doesn't matter. I know what I know, and have fun with it anyway." Yeah, I swear to God. I mean, you could look on Luke Ayax's post on Instagram. It's there. And I was like, whoa. So I'm not sure if he was doing that to drum up a little controversy on the show,
I
but
think it
like,
was kind of yeah.
yeah. So I was like, yeah. So here's my team for Saturday. Myself, Anna, William Henry Dvorak, Brian Sublime, and our favorite Brit, the Nazrats, Tim Sires. Yeah, that could be that too, Rob. You never know. But we got a good team of 5. I think we got our characters all set up. If we don't die in the first room, I just want to beat them now. I really want to beat Stefan's team because Stefan, I don't know how the hell's he know anything about. He knows less about 5e than I do. So I really want to beat them badly now. So I don't know if we'll come in first, but I'm hoping that was all hype in that discussion. But get fired up. That's right. I got to
Yep.
keep a level head. All right, here we go for announcements here. Tomorrow night, I got a really neat adventure, Mystery of the Forge. It's in the Principality of Ulick. So if you remember our last Principality of Ulick, first Ulick Pathfinder's adventure at Junction Blockhouse, there's the remnants of this great Arithmal army running about that attacked about a year ago, and they've located them, and now they're going to try and eliminate them. Well, that's kind of a sidebar to what really happened. So this is a 2-weeker. These characters like 4th level. So Mystery of the Forge. Tomorrow night, Reaper Miniatures giveaway tomorrow night. I know Mike won one of those once. So it's always good to get some free Reaper Miniatures. And that will be tomorrow night. Sunday, Gavin, number 105. We continue with our Legendary Adventures at Greyhawk discussion. We never finished 2 weeks ago. We never talked the GD series. We never talked Ghost Tower. There's a whole bunch of adventures we never talked about, so we need to get to them. So it'll be myself, Leonard, Anna, and Jason Zavoda. And a nice
weirdly enough, me. Yeah.
Yeah, a nice conversation on Sunday. Next week's Legends and Lore, I think this is going to be a brilliant one here. The Circle of 8 and other great casters. Okay, so we will have to include other great casters because like Liam and maybe Abby Dalsum, right, Mike, and all the other Circle of 8, and we can discuss. Wasn't there one a month and a half? No, it was 2 weeks ago. It was we did not do this is part 2, Rob. We didn't get to half of the adventures that we wanted to discuss. So it's going to be a very interesting conversation next.
That's going to be an interesting topic because I could easily stay just within the city of Greyhawk on this topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe we'll need a second one of this too. But at least Leonard will be directly involved with Liam, and so talking about Coma's question. I'm sorry, I missed that. Coma, have you done a show on Rift Canyon?
Just on Rift Canyon.
Just on Rift Canyon? No,
we haven't.
But we discussed dragons of that area.
Yeah.
That's I'm sorry, Coma. I misunderstood. I didn't see all the chat.
But the Rift Canyon is so big of a feature.
Don't get her started.
Yeah.
Yeah, depending on how big you want it to be, so to speak.
She can explain it. It's interesting.
Yeah. So we could have an episode on the Rift Canyon. I would
we
love
could
it.
absolutely. All right, here are the special things coming up in my life. I got the Big Bad taping this Saturday morning, but I need to start promoting myself for this. This is going to be in 2 weeks from Thursday. Adventure number 888. I am the kickoff RPG for ReaperCon Live Online, Return of the Portal Master, Thursday, September 3rd, 7:30. Now, it will be on my channel. Reaper said, get all the benefit from it on your channel. That's cool. 4 major giveaways that night. And I'm talking about major giveaways. They're really good. On behalf of Reaper, Reaper's such a great company. So this is our first... we're the first game of ReaperCon. I'm looking forward to doing this with we're going to have Bill, the Master Crafter, painting up these custom minis. He's illuminated a mini for this. So it's going to be a Reaper Products miniatures showcase. So just to show that. And then the other ReaperCon Live, we're going to have a bonus Gabbin that weekend too. I've already calculated the number. Hopefully I'm correct. Gabbin number 107, Saturday morning, 9 a.m. So maybe the UK crowd can jump in on this one finally. ReaperCon Live online, modding and customizing minis. All right, and we're gonna have a Gabbin Saturday morning and Sunday night that week. Mike Disney, Bill the Master Crafter, and Brian Sublime will be joining me, just like they did for that other one we did, crafting one Gabbin we did. So we're going to talk in specifically how you go about because people always say, my mini's not exact. I need to buy the Hero Forge minis. You don't. Reaper's got some unbelievably great minis, and they come with weapons packs. There's all sorts of things you can do to mod a mini, and it's pretty easy to do.
I used to mod my own minis a lot when I was playing Warhammer 40K.
So, Gary, I could put that out there that we need a Death Knight blister pack. I could probably, I'll get, yeah. Yep, that one's Saturday morning, September 5th, 9 a.m., 2 hours long. It'll be nice. So those are the two events I have for ReaperCon Live online. And let's just hope that we get there and it's a good show. I think it will be. So the last thing I want to say is Virtual Greyhawk Con. Thank you. We have 18 events sold out now. Not bad. 141 signups last time I checked, which was sometime this afternoon. So let me link this again. No, cold like Big Mac and all them. Hopefully they can all make it. It'll be a nice time slot. But there you go. Virtual Greyhawk Con is moving along nicely. There's still a ton of events. Please, if you do go on and you do register, sign up for the highlighted Twitch streams that you want to watch, just so we get a kind of judge on what's going to be, who's going to be watching what. It goes on your schedule then. It doesn't mean anything because you can just go on Twitch and watch it. We got links. We got all sorts. That was interesting. We got all sorts of programming going on during the 3 days, but there's some really great things that are coming about. There's going to be giveaways during most of the highlighted streams. We're trying to do this right. It's been a Herculean, but we're getting through it. So did I miss anything? I don't think so. Look at that. Only 5 minutes over tonight. So,
yeah, no.
Green, that's good to hear that you're all signed up. I really appreciate that. We are excited. We got so much content. Are you in Scott Casper's game, Mike? Did you sign up for that, or did you sign up for Alan's?
In the Casey game. Me and Christoph.
So Casey Brown had 3 events, and Alan Grohe had 3 events, and they're all sold out. So that's an awesome thing. And one of them is a tournament. So that'll be very, very cool.
I was mostly going for something that I hadn't done before. I mean, because I don't know what my time is going to be like. I've done Alan and Scott. So I was like, I haven't played Casey before.
Good. I mean, he's excited about doing it, and he's going to be running the same one, in which he's going to determine the winner of all 3 groups and then assign prizes. It'll probably...
We lost him.
Yep, you stretched too far. So no, can't hear you yet.
Thank you, everyone. I'll see you.
Something, yeah.
We can hear some mumbling. That's
his audio is all the hell.
Yep.
How about now?
Yeah, now we can
all
hear
right.
you.
So, do I have a link for the big bad? No, because it's not out yet. This is a taping. Remember, this is on YouTube and podcasted. So it is not available yet. It'll be out in September. I think there's 6 teams, and each of them will be a 2-hour-long episode on Wandering DMs. I think I have a Wandering DM shout out that I have somewhere here. Okay, you may want to go there, and you may be able to find ads for the big bad. Go to the YouTube one, YouTube Wandering DMs. You should have some prelude ads on their YouTube site for the big bad. and it should be a real fun time. We got to bring our A game, though, Anna. We really do.
Yep.
I'm playing the Wizard, Avarice, the Unnerving, and
I'm playing the Elven Cleric.
you're playing the Elven Cleric, who's a tank cleric.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So he's a War Priest. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be a real challenge, and I just, like I said, I'd love to win, but I want to be Stefan's group now. That's all I want to do. So, who's the guys running it? The Wandering DMs, Josh. Daniel Collins is one of them. So absolutely, they were on the 100 show for the announcement. I think it's Paul's the other gentleman. Yep. All right. Great show, everyone. I think I'll catch you into the Flyers game, hopefully. Here, wait a minute. Let me see. Hit the right button, Jay. Oh, let's raid. I'm going to raid someone. Boy. Oh, we're going to raid Reaper John, who's on. All right. Reaper John is obviously a great guy, and he just is doing some art on there, but we're going to raid into Reaper John. He'll like that.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
All right. I'll see you guys all later on, and have a great night.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
All right, let me set the raid up for Reaper John.
Yeah, so many cool comments and insights.
Yeah,
in the chat too. So it's fantastic. So,
great.
So I kind of forgot to mention this, but the module Dwellers of the Forbidden City, I believe, is set in Hetman.
Yes, I think it is. Yep.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yep. And there's a dragon that lives in the Peliso Swamp, Quagmire. One of the best dragon.
Can't find Reaper John on this as I'm typing in.
Dragon names ever. So yeah.
I'm trying to find him and I can't. I'm having trouble locating him by a manual type in. Reaper 3_ John. Let me try this again. Raid. All right, one more time.
Turo Canby, that reef thing that's in the old Dead Sea. I would say his name.
I'm starting it up. Cool. That's a fair number. All right, thank you, everyone. We're going to see Reaper. John's such a great guy, works for Reaper, does a ton of stuff for him, is on shows. Catch it on. I'm trying to get over there and I can't. Did it work?
Can't. I think it did. Yep, it worked. The chat switched to Reaper
Awesome.
John. So yep.
Bling.
Awesome. Let me show this off. Have a great night.